Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I'm Gad, your host. This will be a twin flames natal charts analysis. We'll be starting with the chart on the left. All right. Now, as you see, that's the ascendant. But as you see, they put the ascendant in the 12th house. And they're kind of toying around. When I say they, I'm talking about the creator or creators, whoever put this chart together. But they actually put everything in the 12th house. But they made it the first house with the ascendant. So really, their first house is still going to be the house of endings, which is the 12th house. So we're going to keep that in mind. The first house is ruled by Aries. That's very forward moving, and then some people even say aggressive. The ascendant is where the sun was over the horizon at birth. And you see the 22 degrees, which is 1111, or the angel, or the number of twin flames, and even the angel number 4. And the east point is where the sun was at the ecliptic at birth. Sun sign Libra, ascendant Libra. All right. So before we go any further, we want to look at the 12th house, first house a little bit. We're still going to do the 12th house though. It's just the way they started the count. They started the count on the 12th house, but there's a reason why they did that. The creators. And but you still have your 12th house is now in your 11th house. It has to be counted as such. But whenever you see them do that with the ascendant, there's a reason why they did that. So we always try to look at a few things. All right, just give me a moment. I'm pulling up the information I have on 12th house, first house. 12th house and ascendant, parental, prenatal experience and birth. Prenatal experience and birth. The 12th house is the house of the unconscious, the metaphysical, and the spiritual. It is the doorway to a person's birth. The prenatal experience in the womb, as it leads to our birth, is presented by the 12th house, while the actual birth is presented by the ascendant. The prenatal house and birth experiences remain in the unconscious and create the first marks on the canvas of our lives. They linger somewhere in the recesses of our minds, creating a tone in our lives. The signs and planets in our 12th house and or near the ascendant reveal a great deal about our prenatal experience. The experience of our mothers during their pregnancy and our birth. The 12th house, in this case, the 12th house is also the ascendant. 12th house is ruled by Pisces. But again, since this 12th house has become the first house, it will be Aries in this case, because it's no longer the 12th house. Like I said, they knew what they were doing. I've seen this a lot of times. To explain it, it sounds a certain way, but they know what they're doing. There's a reason for everything what they do. So these experiences are going to affect us throughout our lives. A natal chart with planets packed around the ascendant indicate that the mother's life was filled with activities and issues while pregnant without birth. And that is pretty much the case here. You got Mercury retrograde, Uranus, and Jupiter. And they are somewhat called powerhouses, especially Uranus and Jupiter. So you definitely got Mercury. Is a mother who studies about pregnancy and child rearing is often found with this placement, Mercury in that location. She takes an intellectual view of the pregnancy and wants to make sure she does everything correctly. She carefully watches her weight gain, eats correctly, and educates herself for all the possible problems with the birth. The prenatal experience is pleasant and stimulating. The birth goes as planned. The Sun. The mother is proud during pregnancy, and the pregnancy is inspiring to her. She feels the pregnancy fulfills her, gives her meaning in life. There may be issues related to the heart of either the child or mother, or blood pressure issues during the birth. The birth may be slightly earlier, and is celebrated. Jupiter, traveling while pregnant and giving birth in a foreign land where traveling is common with this placement. Issues of freedom are central in the mother's pregnancy, and there may be debate about staying with or separating from the father. Excessive eating is common, or anything that the mother attaches to during the pregnancy can be done in excess. And Uranus. Debate over following convention or being different is found in this placement. This could be regarding the rules followed during pregnancy, the style of birth, or the rules followed in relationship between the mother and father. Sudden events such as separation of the parents, marriage of the parents, or suddenly going into labor are common with this placement. All right. So, Libra, first house, Libra, and also Libra rising or Libra ascendant. Libra rising, Libra ascendant are the same thing, but it's not always your first house. That's why somebody says, "What's your ascendant?" And you'll start to tell them. But if you tell them your first house, if your ascendant's not in your first house, that's not your ascendant, because the ascendant is not always in the first house. So in this case, it is. But Libra is a person. When you're dealing with Libra, you're dealing with the 7th house. Libra rules the 7th house. Partnership, business partners, relationships, contracts, agreements, open enemies. A person who likes things to be fair, harmonious, and they try to be a mediator. They try to, if people aren't getting along, they try to bring harmony, but they get upset if they don't get harmony. They're very interested in relationships, doing things together with somebody, and they want things to be like equal and fair. That's pretty much the sun sign or the ascendant of. All right, now we're going to look at Uranus and Libra. This is astromatrix.org. Those born with Uranus and Libra have the ability to receive intuitively from the planetary mind innovative ways of relating to people and handling the area of personal relationships from a new level of understanding. Disruption occurs from outmoded ideas about the marriage relationship and in the area of partnership agreements in general. So they're going to have an innovative way of looking at anything that has to do with partnerships, contracts, agreements. This is alwaysastrology.com. They can be gifted artistically, musically, or with literature. They have an original way of expressing themselves. We still got to talk about that expression because then you're going to be dealing with Mercury retrograde. And quite frequently their work involves the occult in some fashion. And occult really just means hidden, but that's really the 8th house under Scorpio. They are distinctive, whether with color, personality, or field of expertise. They are often blessed with a keen intuition. They have a vivid imagination and may be attracted to, and many are attracted to their personality. They may make good artists, musicians, writers, lawyers, scientists, arbitrators. They have a strong sense of justice, especially for the underdog. They are liable to be successful passing legislation to protect victims and other social issues. Okay, it's some more they say. I just want to put this on a Word document and blow up the text size because it makes it easier to read it. Alternately, Libra Uranus may also experience domestic troubles, sorrow, and separation from their marriage partner through death by accident or illness. This is what I'm trying to tell you. See, this is why they sometimes put your first house in your 12th house, because of things like this. The divorce may also loom in their future. They may have a hard time remaining loyal to their partner. If marriage is to succeed, they need space. They may have relationships that start or end abruptly. Remember I said the 12th house is the house of ending? Again, not saying this is going to happen or has happened, but that's why you get your natal chart analyzed and you also get it updated because these are things that are found out. They may push the traditional perspective with an open marriage, multiple partners, or other unusual partnerships. They may tend towards anarchist behavior, or may be known for their eccentricities. Libra Uranus is usually farsighted and can reason clearly. They can be ambitious. They are restless and don't like others meddling in their business. Full of personal magnetism, they may find themselves in some unusual relationships. They have a short temper. I'm finding out a lot of stuff about Libra I never knew. You always thought Libra was the quiet, peaceful one, but now when Uranus comes in, Uranus and Libra brings changes to partnerships, art, and law. They do things in an unconventional, sometimes shocking way. They prefer things that are loosely defined rather than rigid. They like independence and freedom in all things. They are very tolerant of those who differ with different beliefs or habits. They are good facilitators and have a talent for diplomacy. Uranus and Libra can be very cooperative and fair. They have progressive ideas that do not follow traditional rules. They are known for their logical prowess, and they seek intellectual pursuit. Again, this is why you study people's natal charts and stuff like that. Because you might go, oh, Libra, we'll get along great. Yeah, I'm a quiet guy. I like peace. Yeah, Libra, I need myself a Libra. But you might get yourself a Libra in Uranus. It'll change your whole viewpoint on what a Libra and everything is. So this is why you get natal charts. This is why you get scales. And this is why you get compatibility tests. But even with a compatibility, nothing's going to work right without the natal chart. The natal chart comparatively is like the blueprint to your car. Now you can go to a mechanic, you can go wherever, and he'll be able to do certain things here, certain there. But the guy that has the blueprint to the car, he's got a better idea of what he's looking at. And that's why whenever I got like a car or a new car, I always bought the whole book on everything that was built on that car. It just makes common sense. All right, now we're going to take a look at that Mercury retrograde. Why is that Mercury retrograde in your first house, which is also kind of like your 12th house? I'll be back. All right, so you really need to listen up, because this is really going to take you a few spots. I'm letting you know right in advance. Also, you got to remember, your first house, either way, is always connected to your 7th house. That's just the way it is. The first house is about you, singularly, and the second house is about you and that person you're going to be in some type of relationship with. The 7th house is. And the first house is about you. So they're already talking about relationship, and we already read a few things that talked about relationship in your first house. And now Libra would have been your 7th house anyway. So your chart really is dealing with the 7th house relationships. And also, by them they're making your 12th house the house of endings in your first house. So they're all trying to tell you something. So you got to really listen up, because I'm going to read you 2 different websites that deal with Mercury retrograde. And like I said, it's a matter of listening and trying to understand what they're saying, because the tendency is usually the, oh, I don't understand, or you're trying to combat it before you listen. I get that a lot. That's why I'm warning. And again, it's your relationship. There's nothing I'm going to be able to say or do about it other than what I want to tell you that the experts are saying, because there's nothing else I'm going to be able to say or do. It's just human nature. They think by talking to me, something's going to change. I can only give you what's here on your chart and what the experts say and what I know. But after that, if it resonates with you, great. And if it doesn't, there's nothing else nobody can do. So I try to get that perfectly clear with people. Because these 2 websites, they complement each other, but they challenge each other. But in a case like this, you have to get both of them, because they're both going to tell you 2 different things about that you need to know about Mercury retrograde in your chart, especially in that sector. That's why I'm making it a big deal, because it's a big deal with the relationship sector. Also, legal sector, partnership sector, contract sector, business partnership sector, anything with open enemies. It's all there. This is paganspath.com, Mercury retrograde, and then we'll be going to another website on Mercury retrograde as well. You may find people have a hard time understanding you. And again, in a relationship sector, that's kind of tough, because you need to have communication. You need to be understood. You need to understand what that person is saying. They say whispers can be overheard. And usually when you're whispering, it's because you don't want somebody to hear what you're saying, but it can be overheard. Mail or email may be misdirected because of Mercury retrograde. Mail or email may be misdirected. So you might get an email where somebody's actually saying something that you weren't supposed to hear, but now that you heard it, you're pissed off. Reviewing legal matters can become confusing or unclear. And again, that is your house of law with Libra. Public speaking can become difficult, and those giving speeches can be easily misquoted. They're even going to say here that you may be speaking and people take everything you say the wrong way, and now they're offended. And you're like, wow, that's not what I meant. But that's how they take it. See, this is all the Mercury retrograde. That's why it's so important to understand that. You may find it easier to provide self-expression through other forms rather than verbal or written. But the truth of the matter is, those are only two forms, really. And if you get up there with sign language, hey, why are you giving me the middle finger? What are you doing? Hey, you just said my mother stinks. What they're trying to tell you is any form of communication with Mercury retrograde could be a problem. So, again, because you always have, I'm not saying this person's like that, but you'll have defiant people that'll say, well, that's never happened. Or they want to duke it out. I'm not here to duke it out. I'm just here to tell you what the experts are saying about the Mercury retrograde and why it's there on that chart. Whether that person accepts it or doesn't accept it, it may never happen. Maybe it did. Whatever the case might be, there's nothing else I can do. Now it says Mercury past life. If Mercury is retrograding your chart, communications are probably tough for you today. You may find your words can get you into trouble, or you may be afraid to speak your mind for fear of the consequences. As a past life influence, it's likely you were once scorned for speaking out. Perhaps your words significantly hurt a person or people. You may have even influenced a riot and were then punished for your words. A Mercury retrograde symbolizes that you are afraid to say the wrong thing, or that people take your words the wrong way. So you may find it easier not to speak at all. To overcome these lessons, you should believe in yourself and the ability of your communication skills. Practice public speaking. To me, that would mean take courses, take classes, and celebrate the achievement of speaking to a group. And if you do have somebody you can talk to, you can ask them, how did that sound, or blah, blah, blah. If somebody's around you, how did that sound when I was talking to these people, or things like that. But that according to what's on the chart, that will be a problem, especially in the sector we're speaking about. So then that's that one. But now this one's going to go way deeper. Way deeper. This is Astrologer, PANDITJI.com. And again, if you always got pen and paper, take your notes, because he's going to really go in. Mercury retrograde in the first house in Libra. Now I'm wondering, because you see, when it's Hindu, they use a lot of words that we don't really use here, and you'll be repeating those words. But you want to be able to say this in such a way that people understand, because otherwise you're repeating a whole lot of words, and then it's getting even more confusing. So he uses a word called benefic, which can mean beneficial or positive. Now, yours is retrograde, but that's the only thing in the first house that could be considered not positive. Is that retrograde and what it causes. You could jump into with Pluto, but Pluto's really in the other house, and Pluto's not necessarily bad. We haven't looked at that yet. You just got Pluto and Venus. So we're not going to say anything in your first house is necessarily bad. So we're just going to say when beneficial in nature. Now, whenever you hear me say Mercury, we're talking about retrograde Mercury. Now, why am I stressing this? because he writes a lot of stuff, and I don't want to keep saying wind, benefic in nature, retrograde Mercury, because that's how he writes, and you'll say it over and over again. It's a pain. So we're talking about a retrograde Mercury in a positive or benefic setting, which is basically what yours is. So when I say Mercury, where we already established it's retrograde. So the Mercury in your first house with Libra can bless the native under its impact with good results related to marriage, profession, fame, authority, and many other types of good results, depending on the overall tone of the horoscope. But again, we already learned though, but it may be some problems with marriage. So that's why I try to explain this before we got started. He gives a lot of information. So you got to be able to take it with a grain of salt. And see, how to do your natal chart is to just document it more so. Take notes, document it, think about it, go back over. The human tendency is as fast as they get the chart, they already want to debate it and argue and, oh, that's not true, this, that. And I don't have time for that, to be honest. I haven't even gotten back to my own chart. It's still sitting there, but I got it all. I got all my notes. I did it the correct way. You take notes, and then you can go back and look over it. You understand? Because otherwise you're not going to learn. And it's like, I'm one with the universe, so I know how to keep my mouth shut and let the universe have its way. A lot of people try to push their will on the universe, and that only makes whatever they're going through worse. Because the universe is trying to help you. Just like if you do archangel cards, the archangels are trying to help you. But it's a tendency to bucket and try to duke it out with the archangels. And that's why if anybody that studies this twin flame stuff on YouTube, that's all you see is a lot of people trying to bucket out with the universe instead of submitting and then trusting the universe to work it out. Also, if you feel you're in a twin flame relationship, make sure you check out the stages of a twin flames relationship at DNA Awakening on YouTube, because they take you stage by stage and they explain everything to you so that you don't feel a certain way, because you start to realize that's just the way it is. It's nothing to get upset about. It's just the way it is. There's going to be separation. There's going to be running. There's going to be chasing. And if you're a twin flame and you don't have that situation, then you're very special. But again, a lot of people, they wouldn't know if they were twin flames because they never get their natal chart. They just go by what they're feeling and all that. But I've seen charts that are so close together, it would be hard to tell which one is which. So you got to really get that information and study it. That's why I said this is more about taking in the information and studying it and letting it resonate and being patient with the universe, as opposed to trying to duke it out. Oh, no, that's not true. Oh, I don't have a problem with communication. Oh, no. All right. Now I'm going to continue with the gentleman's reading. So when it's a positive retrograde Mercury, it can bring benefits to some natives through their marriage, due to which these natives may profit in many ways through their marriages. Some natives benefiting from this retrograde planet may get married to rich and influential people, and they may enjoy better standards of living by virtue of their marriage in their overall horoscopes, if their overall horoscopes are supportive. So now he starts to give you an example of planet placements. He says, if retrograde Mercury is placed in the first house of the horoscope with the sign of Libra, and yours is, he says Mars being placed in the second house in the sign of Scorpio. So let's see if that's true, because he's saying this is what will make it benefic or beneficial. All right. Well, your Mars isn't in the second house with Scorpio. It's nearby, but just not in the second house. Saturn in the 12th house of the zodiac, in the sign of Virgo. So your Saturn's way over there, but it is in the 7th house. See, it's still all relationship, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, it's actually in the 8th house. All right, so it wouldn't be benefit according to his definition of benefit. But it might be being married. It could mean being married to somebody that has money. Or this person might even have money. So it may mean being married to somebody who's rich or has a rich family. And that would increase the person who marries them, their social status. At the same time, if Sun is placed in the second house of his horoscope in the sign of Scorpio, along with benefit Mars, which is not because your Sun is with you. So none of these placements he's citing are on your chart, making it benefit. And they said if those placements were there, it would definitely mean marrying into money. But what I'm trying to tell you is it could still mean that. Or it could mean a person that requested this chart has money. You just have to be, you have to understand. That's why I say this is more about learning how to work with the universe and not trying to argue or duke it out. Because that's third dimensional. That's low frequency, low vibrations. But that's the tendency most people have. They want to duke it out. They want to tell the universe, oh, no, that's not true. Or this is the way I see it. Or da, 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 da. But we're not here to duke it out with the universe. We're here to find out what our purpose is. Which means you have to learn how to be quiet and submit to the universe. And I'm just the middleman, but I get caught with all the crossfire. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in the middle. So when you hear your horoscope, instead of duking out what you think is wrong, let it flow. Because it may still have some truth to it. Just not the exact way they said it, but there's still some truth to it. Even like if you ever watched The Psychic, I see a room. Who in your house has a blue room? Oh, my sister Susie. I see a teddy bear. Oh, my sister Susie, she doesn't like teddy bear. Oh yeah, but her other sister, maybe it's Jennifer's teddy bear. What does a teddy bear look like? Oh, it's black and white and fluffy ears. Oh yeah, that's Jenny's teddy bear. You understand? So they're kind of right, but they're not fully on point. But if as soon as they open their mouth, you step on it like you would a cockroach, then of course you're not going to get nowhere. So you got to let it flow. So there's possibility of marrying the money or having money or something like that. But he's going based on his placements of planets, which is not on your chart. But that doesn't mean, oh, it's not going to happen. It just means his placement's not necessarily in harmony with your chart. So these are possibilities. So that's what you work on, possibilities. Because what I learned, just because yesterday or today, that's not the way it is, it doesn't mean tomorrow that it won't be. But when you start to go, oh, no, that's not it. Oh, I don't believe that. You know, so I got a reading and somebody, oh, I'm not with that. So that stuff's a bunch of crap. So you don't give it a chance. And, of course, that's what you're going to get back. And whenever you're dealing like with Libra, kind of like karma, because that's all about justice. And Saturn's dealing with justice. 12th house, which really your first house is the 12th house, is dealing with karma. So that's why I said you want to work with the universe. And I'm not just talking to this person, for anybody that's getting any type of intuitive reading. You got to learn how to be patient with the universe and taking the information as opposed to trying to prove how wrong it is or that's not correct and all that, because you're actually wasting everybody's time. And you're trying to tell the universe, which is spirit and creator, you're trying to tell it what your little low-level, third-dimensional brain is thinking. Doesn't even make sense. All right, so now, okay, so we already said about marrying into the rich. Because like I said, he repeats a lot of stuff over and over again. Now they're saying if it's benefic, but what I'm trying to say to you is all the planets he gave that are necessary to make it benefit, like the planets and what houses they would be in, is not on yours. But he's saying this will be a good marriage, and they will also witness better results in their professions because they'll have help from their wife or their husband or their family will help. That's what he's saying. So, but that stuff could still be somewhat true. It also said people could travel to foreign countries on the basis of their marriage, and they may even settle in foreign countries. But he's still saying that this is all benefic. Because remember, Jupiter is about travel because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and that's all about travel. Now, he's talking to you. He doesn't know you have Jupiter in your first house. He just knows Mercury retrograde with Libra in your first house. But still, he's talking about traveling, which is really Jupiter Sagittarius. Because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. For example, it's placed in first house. Now he says Venus in the 11th house. Give me a second. And she is... And now I said it's horoscope and a sign of Leo, but it's not. See, the 11th house is not Leo. It's Virgo. But it is in the 11th house. Saturn placed in the 12th house is horoscope. Give me one moment because I'm trying to check out his placements of planets. Venus is in the 11th house. No, I'm sorry. Venus is in the 12th house. Nothing's really. Vesta's in the 11th house. All right, that person, he's saying will go abroad, will travel long distances because of the marriage. And they say it's possible that they may marry a foreign person, or be married. If you marry a person, you marry into the family. And he's giving you his reasons why. But also just because of Jupiter, because Jupiter represents Sagittarius. Sagittarius represents foreign things and long distance. So like I said, now when you're dealing with a psychic, they may get you kind of close, but then the psychic will say, okay, they got the room, they got the color room, they were off a little bit, but there is a teddy bear, and it's just not to her, the blah, blah, blah. And you don't even know, because them two sisters, she may have given her a teddy bear. You don't know, you weren't there the whole time. But then the psychic says, I can't do any more, I have to actually go to the room. If I can just go to the room, then I can get more. So they say, okay, we'll take you to the room. And then they get to the room, and now it gets the stronger. Whatever they tapped into is getting stronger. And then they give them more information. Really, that's how all this works. Whether it's that, anything dealing with that world, because you're tapping into another world. See, our world is the matrix. Our world is really the unreality. Their world is a reality. And we tap in. And if you have psychic gifts, the more you work on them, the stronger they become. Me, I like facts. I like hard copies. I'm an investigator by nature. And I don't flip out. Like, I'm not looking to duke it out with nobody. I'm not looking for a fight. I'm just trying to find information and gather information, think about it, and see how it unfolds, just like an investigator would. But a lot of people approach this like with emotions, and you can't approach this with emotions because you have to learn how to be patient and wait on the universe to show you. Like, on one of my channels, I'm praying for people all the time. And one thing, you'll see some people pray the same prayer over and over again. Oh, me and my boyfriend broke up. Oh, please bring my boyfriend back. And they'll pray that prayer for... I've seen people pray that prayer for 2-3 years. And all of a sudden, them two get back together. If it took that long. So they're more willing to trust in spirit to fix it than to, give up or do it some other type of way. So sometimes you have to be patient. Oh, now he says moon in the 9th house. So we'll look at that real quick. 12, 11, 10, 9. Moon is not. Moon is almost in the 9th house, though. Almost made it. But what else did he say? He said moon in the 9th house, and what else? But he did say, he said a moon placed in 9th house in the sign of Gemini. So that is what you have. But like I said, they offset, like I told you. They put your first house in your 12th house. So the moon is in, let me do it again. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. It's in the 10th house with Gemini. But I know what he's saying. Technically speaking, he's right on that one. But it's just because of the way they did it. So what I'm trying to tell you is it makes sense that there may be problems in that relationship sector because they offset it. But if they offset it for a reason. And you are dealing with karma because the 12th house is karma, and you're dealing with endings. See, that's why I try to teach. Try to understand what's being taught, as opposed to saying, oh, no, and blah, 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 because that's not going to do anybody any good. It's like you go to, you say, oh, I want to learn Kung Fu, and you go into Kung Fu class, and he's trying to show you, but no, that's not, I think it'd be better if I pose this way. Oh, I just feel more comfortable. And then why are you here? We're trying to teach you what's actually being taught. Just like that Kung Fu guy, if he really knows Kung Fu, he's tapped into the universe. If you really understand, that's why they do like breathing techniques. And it's almost like meditation. And some of the stuff they do, they just sit there like meditation because they're tapping into the universe. Danielson. Like Kung Fu, close your eyes and pull a pebble out of my hand. First off, I can't see your hand because my eyes are closed. So you got to tap into the universe and be quiet and let the universe teach you. So with the moon in Gemini could mean an improvement also. But what he's saying, if those other placements were in your natal chart, he's saying it would already be good, but the moon in Gemini would also mean an improvement. But he just said 9th house, which if your chart wasn't offset, it would be that way. But your chart is offset by 1 because they put your 1st house in the 12th house. All right. So they keep implying this person may settle in a foreign country. And sometimes a person may have already been in a foreign country. We don't know that. So very good marriage, very professional. And it may take place in a foreign country. Now they're saying this person can also have a post of authority in governments. Some of these natives may become judges in various courts of law. So you might be affiliated with the court system, administrative officers, revenue officers, because you got Jupiter is too, but Jupiter with Libra. Because Libra is ruled by Venus. Both Jupiter and Venus is about money. Authority in the field of politics. Hotel industry, airline industry, cinema industry, entertainment industry, and other such fields. That's why when you see a lot of these rich people and they have their hands in just about a little bit of everything, that's those type of people. But now they want to deal with the malefic, and that's what we would call malevolent. Now if it's a bad placement, not a positive, but we're still talking about retrograde Mercury in the 1st house of the horoscope and the sign of horoscope. Now, this could trouble the impact with problems related to marriage, profession, health, any other types of problems depending on his horoscope. Now, why did I do it like this? Because there's different possibilities because of that Mercury retrograde. Only this person is going to know that. You understand? So that's why they have to take notes and they have to know, because there's no way I could know because I don't live in their house. I didn't grow up with them. I don't know the person. So that's why I did it this way. I'm giving you all the possibilities that these experts are saying, but it's up to that person to develop it, because they would know better than me. And people ask me questions. I don't pry into people's lives. Like some things I could do my angel cards and get some answers, but I don't pry into people's lives. Like I said, I'm not here for that. Some of these nations may feel the impact of this, I'm just going to say mal retrograde, or malevolent retrograde, or malefic retrograde in the sphere of their marriage, and they may have to face problems in this sphere. Mal retrograde Mercury in the 1st house of horoscope and the sign of Libra can cause lack of chemistry and misunderstandings, because that's what we were learning about. And that's sad because, because of Mercury retrograde, you might really just have a misunderstanding. But sometimes what happens, and I know, but people get mad because say they do swallow their pride. They'll be like, this guy told me to swallow my pride, and I swallowed my pride, and the guy still left me. You know what I'm saying? But you got issues because of Mercury retrograde. But sometimes if you know that, just really tell somebody. I mean, I would try to tell them. You know, I'm not looking. I don't want this to break up. I don't want this to end. Because that's how I would try to talk to my twin. Because my twin wanted to duke it out. She's looking for a fight. Now me, I'm a fighter by nature, and I seldom lose. But I've grew up. I grew up. When I met my twin, I don't want to fight no more. Didn't want no more of this crap. I'm just trying to live my life. She's looking for a fight. So towards the end of everything, I had to tell her, I don't want to have a fight with you. I don't have a problem with you. I don't want to have to argue. I'd rather talk this out. Say things like that as opposed to they say something smart, so you got to say something smarter and silly stuff. Because then, of course, you got a Mercury retrograde, so you're already going to have problems. Can cause a lack of chemistry and misunderstanding between the native and their wife or their spouse, and these problems may intensify if the Mal retrograde gets support from other Mal planets in horoscope. But see, he didn't go to tell you what the planets were, because if he did, I will look it up just like I looked up the good side. He should have said what those planets were in placements, like he did with the good side, because I could look it up. But I'm just telling you the overall tone from the other website was there's going to be issues in that sector because of the retrograde. So we got to remember that, because that's what the other experts said. But I was trying to give you some possibility of hope based on what this gentleman said, but he didn't fully explain his case. You don't give one side and don't give the other, but that's what he did. In extreme cases, when supported by other Mal planets, Mal retrograde Mercury in the first house and the sign of Libra can break more than one marriage of the native under its impact due to serious issues in such marriages. And like I said, this person would already know that. They would know something. Because somebody might say, oh, I've never been married. They may say something or whatever they're saying. But you know how your relationships have gone. Only you would know that. And then if you meet an honest person, they'll tell you. But there's some people that, and it makes me laugh. Because it's like you go to the foot doctor, there's something wrong with my foot. He starts to look at you. He touches a few things. Maybe he takes the x-ray and tries to tell you what's wrong. And you immediately want to argue with him. Oh, no, that's not true. Like, okay, why are you in here then? And see, a doctor that's been around the block a few times, because you're trying to tell him it's not true, so he makes sure he grabs that part of your foot that's in pain to make you go, well, I know that's true. You're saying it's not true, but obviously something's wrong. So you're in my office. Why don't you show a little respect to the doctor? All right. So that will finish that. Because the reason why I did that house, because you can already look on your chart. That's the tough one. You can just see it. Well, you guys might not be able to see it, but I can see it. Not saying it's bad. I never said it was bad. But that's going to be one of the most challenging houses on your chart. Okay, now we're going to go right through. Now, here's a danger in your second house. You got Mercury there, which means, well, let's do a little history. Your second house and your eighth house deal with money. The second house deals with your money. The eighth house deals with other people's money or shared money, shared resources. Now, your second house is going to deal with eighth house stuff. The eighth house is the occult. Now, I could read it right now, but I'm not going to. But one thing about Neptune, I'll read it when we get to your eighth house. One thing we do know about Neptune and Mercury, Neptune and Scorpio, they deal with escapism a lot. Well, Scorpio deals with a lot of doubting things, and a lot of obsession, power struggles, greed, highly sexual. But we'll read more about Scorpio when we get to your eighth house. Scorpio rules the eighth house. But Neptune helps tie in with codependency, idealism, unrealities, addictions. So Neptune coincides for Scorpio. So this is the money is being made off of eighth house stuff and Neptune stuff. But you just have to be careful of the obsession or the alcoholism or drug addictions, because all this is coming out of the eighth house with Neptune. So that's your danger in the second house. Now your third house is Gemini, energy, ruled by Gemini. And Taurus rules your second house. Now, whenever you see Gemini deals with short distances. In relationships, Gemini implies breakups. Because Gemini likes to learn because it's very mental, but it doesn't like to go deep. So it'll go surface and then loses interest. So for relationships, it usually implies breakups. Some form of separation, some type of breakup. It corresponds with your siblings, your environment. It could even be your family, your community, short distances. The mind and multitasking is very creative. Now, Sagittarius represents your ninth house, which is ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius can be, like I said, this could be a foreigner that you have some type of communication with. It could be you learned languages. For you may know a foreign language or other foreign languages. With Sagittarius, Sagittarius also rules the ninth house, long distance, philosophy, religion, culture, people that have class. So Sagittarius represents the more mature time period of a relationship. Like they don't break up as much, they don't separate as much, they don't get involved with running and chasing as much as the Gemini energy does. But when you see Gemini and Sagittarius together like yours is, this can be a highly educated person, but they still have to go through either bouts of or a period of breakup. And it can be one moment, it seems like it's going good, because that's a Sagittarius energy. You know, we're finally getting past this. But then all of a sudden, the Gemini area kicks in again, and then you're broke up again. And that's going with that Uranus as well. That Uranus in the first house, because it's there with Jupiter, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So out of nowhere, where you thought things were going good, and all of a sudden, wham, what happened? We were just together. We were holding hands. We were looking at each other. We were talking. It seemed like everything was okay. What happened? Or they may be saying it about you. But that's what you're getting in the first three houses. And now Pallas is really on the border, the third house and the fourth. But Pallas just helps a creative person see patterns. Because Gemini in the third house, or in the third house is Gemini, rules it. It helps you be very creative and see patterns. That's what Pallas is going to do. But we're also going to treat Pallas like it's in your fourth house, because it's right on the borders. So now your fourth house deals with family, is the fourth house, education, teenage to adult, land and property, the heart, vehicles and transportation, family and ancestors. But see, Capricorn really is supposed to be in your 10th house. So this could be a family business, some type of business with family. It could be the family you were born into, or the family that's going to be born out of you, or anybody you could consider a family. But also because we don't see the I Moon Coeli as much, which is the female energy, which is the moon rules Cancer. Cancer rules the fourth house. But you have Capricorn. So that might even be a male energy. Again, it could be a male energy such as the father, but it could be a male energy such as the man in your life, or the man that's supposed to be in life, whatever the case might be. Juno is saying this is where you would have a serious relationship with this person. And he's kind of serious-minded, because Capricorn is a serious-minded person, career-minded, cares about their reputation. But it can also mean an old soul, especially if the moon is there. And since the moon does rule Cancer in your fourth house, see, a moon sign of Capricorn is usually an old soul. But the problem there is Mars, which means there is some type of friction. Whenever you see Mars and any type of family chat, be careful, because then you got to worry about the children. Make sure there's no problems and any harm being done to the children, because Mars can be very aggressive. But Mars with Juno means they're going to have problems. Maybe too serious, or the person's so serious that they don't have reality. They don't understand reality, because like somebody said, look, I know I'm a good man. This is just an example. I know I'm a good man. I work. I believe in family. But see, that's all good. It's commendable. But you have to be able to apply that to modern times. Because we're in a time right now where individual freedom is so important to people. So yeah, I want to be married, but I still want to be me. And see, this type of man would be like, oh no, if we get married, you're going to be a wife. Oh no, what do you think you're going with that on? And you're like, who does he think he's talking to? I'm a grown-ass woman. But he's more like, oh no, I'm serious. I wouldn't have got married if you're going to be jumping around. But when you go back to your first house, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I want to be in a relationship, but I want to be me. Uranus. You understand? Like, that's the modern woman. Oh, I'm not going to give up my sexy. Oh, no, you're out of your mind. I'm not going to stop being me just for you. What happens if me and you don't work? See, that's the modern woman. So that's kind of what you got going on here. And that's the Mars, the energy. And that Mars energy in your fourth house is a lot like the Uranus energy in your first house. It's a boom out of nowhere. And see, if this guy is the type of guy that doesn't, because see, whenever you're dealing with twin souls, something might be on your chart, but it's not you. Like, I know my chart. It's certain things on my chart that's her. Like, she's a drama queen. She wants to fight. I don't want to fight. I done fought all the people I need to fight. I'm happy. I like peace. I'm not trying to bring that drama. So sometimes you might be on your chart, but it's still the other person. But what I'm trying to tell you is that's one of the reasons why there may be where did that come from? Because if he's looking at something from, who's ever doing it could be you or him, but if he's looking at something from a serious longevity type deal, and then Uranus is out here doing all kind of stuff, he's not going to want to deal. Uranus and Saturn don't get along, and Saturn rules Capricorn. So I think you do know astrology, so you should know that. I know. I'm not saying you don't know it. That's not what I meant by that. You're aware of the fact they don't get along. So Capricorn ain't trying to see no Uranus. Capricorn wants everything documented, everything nice. Like, he's the type of dude, when he's walking through the house, he kind of wants to know what room everybody's in. Oh, it's about 8 o'clock. Little Timothy's probably downstairs playing with his toys. And then he's going to yell downstairs, Timothy, you've got 20 more minutes to get ready for bed. That's a Capricorn. He ain't trying to hear no Uranus out of nowhere stuff. And that's how, like, a lot of I'm a moon sign Capricorn. I can be that way. Very organized. But I've had to learn through the school of hard knocks. You can't do that with everybody. You can do that with yourself, but you can't do that with everybody. Because everybody else is want to be more freer and take chances and, whatever. Make mistakes and act like the mistakes didn't happen and all that stuff that I consider silly. But that's a lot of people. So that's your fourth house in a nutshell. I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be back. All right. Now we're moving on to the fifth house. All right, before we do, we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to look at Palace. Give me a second. Palace in the fourth house. So this may be a creative house because of Palace. The person may be highly psychic or an empath. The subconscious is the source of the wisdom in nature. They really know how to create a home, especially around the holiday times. Now you got to remember, because Capricorn is there, I'm going to say it again. They could be talking about this person, or they're talking about that Capricornian energy, that person. They say when you with Palace in your 4th house, if you have a difficult problem to figure out, go home, because Palace is going to help you see patterns, help you figure things out. The 4th house shows the last third or so of your life. Your problem-solving abilities will probably become stronger with age. So now that was Palace in the 4th house, but now you also want Palace in Capricorn. And give me a second. We're going to try to find that. We're going to try to find that. All right. Okay, so Palace in Capricorn can see the underlying structure in any form. In healing, this is expressed in the skeleton. So modalities like posture therapy, chiropractic, osteopathy, deep tissue massage, and I think they meant to spell it dentistry, but they spelled it, yeah, they did dentistry, maybe most appealing. So these are just given because of Capricorn, they give you employments you can do. They want to create precise modes to form their creative energies. So now that makes more sense to me why Palace would be there with Capricorn in the 4th house. Because again, this I'm not saying they do, but this person might even work from the home. But it's kind of like a family business or a home. Because you'll see that like sometimes you'll go looking for doctors' offices or chiropractic, and they'll say this is a family business. Architect, sculpture, and drafting may be some of the creative arts that work well for this combination. They have the ability to be in the right place at the right time. They defend law. So there you go with that defend law again, going back to Libra. Because I told you your 4th house has something to do with your 1st house. They defend law and order and have a strong need to be in authority. They are excellent organizers and planners. So we see it again. Because sometimes you have lawyers that work from their home, like their office is actually in the house and stuff like that. All right, now I'm just going to look around. All right, what we're going to do now is called sexual astrology. We're going to look at Aquarius in the 5th house and Taurus in the 8th house. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time in your 8th house. We may do all of it now or we may not. And remember, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is in your 1st house, but Aquarius rules your 11th house. And usually your 5th house and 11th house have connections as well. Uranus can also mean, and they didn't even mention it, and I just did a chart. See, these charts come to me like in like a batch. Anybody that knows anything about accountancy, They'll put things in batches. Like the one day they'll put in a batch, or if it's a certain form of A&R, it goes in one batch. Another form, like another customer, goes in another batch. Uranus also means that you're in a relationship with somebody, or you're attracted to somebody that would be considered weird or unusual, or not the common choice. Because that's what Aquarius means in the 5th house too. It's like a different type of dating, or a different way people date. So with Aquarius in the 5th house, love, sex, and dating will be highly unconventional. You might be a rebel in love and challenge all of the traditional dating rules, preferring instead to make your own. Aquarius in the 5th house will also bring a highly charged mental energy to the love and life and sex life. You might enjoy online dating, electronic sex toys, and even communicating with your lover using the latest technological gadgets. Aquarius in the 5th house has a relationship that might be erratic, or you might fall in love with a very unusual person who is a visionary in some way. So this person might be one of those people that when you see them in the career sector, they're Capricornian, but when you see them in the other sector, they're like really out there, like loose, like out there. Because I'm still trying to figure out what's the Capricornian energy and stuff like that. But that's more what I'm saying, and that's why I'm saying it might be her or the other person, or it could be two sides of her. Because what I'm trying to tell you, whenever I see the 12th house in the 1st house, it's usually a person with two lifestyles. They're usually real professional in one, and more like Aquarian, Uranus in the second one. And I'm starting to see that more and more. So they're saying if Aquarius is in your 5th house, sexual relationship might be erratic, or you might fall in love with a very unusual person who is a visionary in some way. There could be a sudden breakup and sudden affairs if Aquarius is in your 5th house, but you'll likely enjoy shaking your life up every now and then. For you, love and sex must always have a little taste of rebellion. Because that was a chart I saw. This guy was off the hook. You could see it in the chart. But I said, because I've been around women my whole life, and they'll sit there and that'll turn them on. He's so irresponsible. Can you believe this girl? He just had $3,000 in his pocket and he spent it already. What is his problem? And it'll piss him off, but at the same time, it's turning them on. And I've seen that. Not saying that's the same way with every person, but I've seen that. And this is what this guy had in his chart. And her chart was basically saying that's exactly what she's looking for. So that was Aquarius in the 5th house. Now this is Taurus in the 8th house. Now you have to remember what I told you about the 2nd house and the 8th house, and your 2nd house is ruled by Taurus. So it says, admit it, the smell of money turns you on. If Taurus is in your 8th house, then your approach to intimate love and sexual encounters will be more practical and materially oriented. A partner with the means to please your body in physical and material ways will be the doorway to intimacy for you. Taurus in the 8th house means your relationship will be deeply sensual, and you'll easily surrender your soul to body pleasures. Now, Taurus is a very sensual sign, and Taurus loves massages. You thrive in love and sex if the relationship is monogamous with Taurus in the 8th house. In addition, you'll use the physical act of sex as a vehicle for learning how to achieve emotional intimacy more than most if Taurus is in your 8th house. Because remember, Scorpio is a very emotional water sign, very emotional. Raw, physical, earthly, and lusty sex, that's not complicated as what you yearn for. Lying in your lover's arms after you move mountains together is all you need to feel deeply transformed. Because the 8th house is the house of transformation. Alright? So we looked at the 5th house, looked at the 8th house. Your 5th house is ruled by Leo, and amazingly, Leo is in your 11th house. So we're going to do that right now. Your 11th, and we're going back to your 8th house, don't worry. In your 11th house, you have Vesta. And then see how she's at 8 degrees? In your 11th house, you have Vesta. Vesta is a spiritual priestess. So she brings a level of spirituality, but she's also been called, she can be highly sexual. And Vesta also is the fire. She's the literal fire in your house, the furnace, the heater. She's the fire inside of you. She's the fire inside of your automobile. She also deals with small compartments, which can include jail, depending on where she is in your natal chart. But when you have Leo in 11th house, well, the 11th house is your friends, your associations, and your groups. Your friends, your associates, and your groups. But Leo makes you the leader in those areas. But you're coming through, you're the fun person, the romantic person. Maybe you like to travel. You might even set up travel spots to go with these people, maybe bus trips or some type of trips. But all about fun and romance and entertainment. That's you. Now, Vesta may be helping out to tell you, well, wherever you see Vesta, do not burn out. Know how to take breaks, because Vesta means you have a lot of energy and you can burn out and have health problems if you don't take a break in your 11th house. But Vesta can also mean you're using that energy for some type of spiritual means, because that is your true north node, Pisces. Or Vesta can mean that you're using that for some type of sexual mean. So that's your 11th house. But it's tying in with your 5th house and your 8th house. Now, so we did Taurus in your 8th house. Sensual because of Taurus. Financial because of Taurus. Now, when you see Saturn retrograde, it means like really you let it. You don't have like discipline in that area. You let it all go, like girls going wild. Because Saturn is saying, hey, calm down. Like I told you about Capricorn in the 4th house. That's how Saturn is. Saturn is Capricorn's ruler. Saturn is like your employer. He wants to make sure, where's everybody at? Everything's got to be documented. Everything's got to be regulated. Everything's got to be accountable for, accounted for. Everything has to be karma. That's Saturn. But Saturn retrograde is lack of control or lack of discipline. No restraints. But you have to be careful, because Saturn retrograde can also imply abuse. So you got to be very careful of that. Because sometimes that's what happens when sex is like really unrestrained. It can lead to some form of abuse. And like some people like types of sex, so to them it wouldn't be abuse because they actually like it like that. But some people don't, so you have to be careful. And if you look over to the other card, if you look over to the chart, that person also has Saturn retrograde with Taurus. Your vertex cross means this is a significant meeting and a significant event. It could mean a significant breakup, or it could mean a soul-mate connection. Your twin soul has the exact same soul as you do in a different body. A soulmate can actually be anybody. Any member of your soul family is a soulmate. Like I said, if you took two people that hated each other, and put them both on an island together with no cameras, nobody watching them, just left them there, say, hey, you can survive if you two work together. We don't care that you hate each other. The only way you're going to survive is if you work together. So we don't care how you do it. We don't care. We're leaving you. Nobody's on this island but you, that person, and whatever animals are out there. We're out of here. And you leave them. Now, for a while, they're going to be doing that same stupid third-dimensional stuff. I don't like you for this reason. I don't. But when they start to realize, I'm not going to survive without this person's help, they're gonna learn a different decor. They're gonna learn how to talk to each other a little bit differently. And once they get past that, and they start to get past all the other obstacles, when you come back, they may be two of the best friends in the world. You might see little children running around. They're kids or something. Because they got away from third-dimensional thinking and reasoning that separates people. Everybody's a soulmate. That's why people keep telling you we're all one. We're all one. The only thing that divides us is the matrix that we're in, the politics, the power, all that stuff divides us. But at the end of the day, we're all soulmates. So in your eighth house, you will have some type of, which is probably a soulmate, because that's your soul house. Your eighth house is the house of the occult. It is the house of the soul, and you have Taurus there. And this is going to be some type of a financial connection as well, but it's a sexual connection as well. But that's a soulmate as well, and it's like Taurus energy. It could be a little Taurus, or it could just be Taurus energy. So now let's read about your eighth house. Let's read about the eighth house. The eighth house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and deals with secrets, mysteries, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsessions, addictions, power struggles, abuse, greed, lust, compulsion, behavior, codependency, stalking, intense, watery emotions, arguments, debates, taunting, revenge, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformations, high sexuality, doubt, because Scorpios like to doubt, but they're very sexual, very secretive, very mysterious, very transforming. Doubt, debt, taxes, IRS, legal matters, court, law breaking, shared resources, inheritances, finances, business, karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behaviors, freaky down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healing, healing, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, alchemistry, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden or taboo, astrology, knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, astral planning, telekinesis, telepathy, because planet Neptune is good for telepathy too. Dreams, and planet Neptune is good for dreams. It rules over Pisces. Interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, woman's body, business, and finance. Give me a second. The eighth house rules other people's money and transformations. Other people's money can be debt, taxes, inheritance, joint finances, shared resources, spouse, partner, and loans. The eighth house is on the axis with the second house, which is the exact opposite of the eighth house, and is an axis of money. Second house is your money, eighth house is other people's money. Transformation can be mental, emotional, physically, or it can be sex, start of life, pregnancy, process of life, and major transformations to the woman's body, and death, both literally and figuratively. The more serious side of life and deep thought are very eighth house. The eighth house also tends to be understood a bit. It is seen as depressing. The eighth house is one of the three relationship houses. The fifth house is love. Seventh house is commitment. Eighth house is sex. And also, you do get a free report that has a lot of that information there as well. And that is a free report that comes with anybody who first, the natal chart for the first time. And that explains everything, including the Archangel cards and who they correspond with. Because your Archangel cards are excellent for your natal chart. Because they take you right back to your natal chart. Alright, so you got that going on. So you just got to be careful of that Saturn retrograde. Because that means that's a girl going wild, or a guy going wild, or that means abuse. Now, Your 6th house is ruled by Virgo. It's about healing, health, service, daily activities, small children, small animals, the home. And it's your true north node. That's why you're here, to be spiritual, to be some type of spiritual health, spiritual healing, spiritual service. You got to be careful of Pisces, because Pisces sacrifices too much. They'll sacrifice themselves for someone else, and that's not good, because you can be taken advantage of. So you do have to be careful of that sacrificing spirit of a spiritual of a Pisces. And there's different levels of spirituality. So that's why we can't say, oh, this is we can't talk about denominations or faith, because spiritual can also be Scorpio, something coming out of Scorpio. Like a lot of you guys have those shops you go into, metaphysical shops, spiritual shops, and all that's levels of spirituality. So you can't tell anybody. To make it easy, I say like Pisces would be like Archangel cards, and Scorpio would be like tarot cards. But that's just how I see it. Now somebody else might not see it that way. But that is your 6th house. 7th house. Okay, somebody was hurt in the 7th house, which we already talked about. Chiron retrograde means somebody was hurt and it's hard to heal. So now you have a Aries in your 7th house. So now you understand your 1st house a little bit better, because in your 7th house you have Aries, which usually means some type of aggression. See, your 1st house is all about you, but the 7th house is supposed to be about both of you. It's supposed to be about we. So you can't have Aries in the 7th house, because Aries is saying, I am. And somebody's saying, whoa, wait a minute. How's it going to be I am when it's supposed to be we? So somebody got hurt, and since it's your chart, maybe it was you. But somebody got hurt because you got Chiron retrograde. But because of that, whatever happened in probably past life, or your past, it was Aries energy when it should have been we. It was I am. And that led to hurt that is going to have trouble healing. So that's your houses 1 through 8. Now house 9, again, Gemini with the moon. So you still have relationship problems, because the 9th house is the house of higher self. See, that's supposed to be graduation. Like, hey, we finally did it. We're finally together. See, you really want to see something like Libra in the 9th house or something like that. You want to do it together. You don't want, because Gemini, they don't have depth and integrity. They can be highly, like this is still a highly educated person, but they just don't have the depth to maintain. So what I'm gonna do, I just want to do Moon in the 9th house, because that's where the Moon is, even though it's taking you into the 10th house. But remember, the Moon rules Cancer, and that's the motherly. So that's where you first see the motherly connection, is up here. It's your 9th and 10th house, because the Moon is trying its best to get to that 10th house, because it rules Cancer, and that's motherly. Your 9th house also deals with in-laws. Your in-laws. But I think it's interesting how the Moon is trying to get out of that. It's trying to get to Cancer, where it feels more comfortable. That's interesting. It's like, I don't know, you would know better than me, but it's like some type of motherly energy is trying to get out of your 9th house and get into the 10th house, where it's more comfortable with Cancer, because that's what it rules over. That's real unique to me. All right, so I was gonna look at it anyway, but now I really looked at it, I'm like, whoa, why is it running out of the 9th house? All right, Moon in the 9th house. All right. Good. MyAstrologyBook.com. Everybody else was actually Hindu or India. And I do use them sometimes, but sometimes the reason why I don't use them a lot for basic readings is because, oh, I know, because of the moon, because they deal with the moon. That's why so many came up. But they can be very, they'll say, oh, you were a bad person, and because you were a bad person, this, they just say a lot of stuff that I'm like, whoa, that's a little harsh. Plus, like I said, I like to deal with concrete facts as much as I can. And there's no guarantee that somebody disrespected their parents in a past life, therefore in this life, blah, blah, blah. There's really no way to really, you know, that's a perspective. So I don't do that. All right. The ninth house is where we search. Now, this is myastrologybook.com. The ninth house is where we search for truth, experiences that broaden the mind and help us form our philosophy of life. And again, the reason why Gemini is not good in the ninth house, because this is a deep search for truth. Gemini likes to surface stuff. Like if Gemini has a mental understanding, that's all it wants. But it doesn't. But you have to feel. They want you to have a deep search for truth, because that's what makes a relationship work. That's why if you know Sagittarians, they're pretty good friends. My best friend is a Sagittarian. Great listener. I mean, unbelievable. And we had a telepathic relationship. And she was in California. I'm in Jersey. Just to give you a couple, but I could go on and go on. I could think it, she'd call me, and she could finish it. That's the truth. And it would be sometimes, because I was always calling her, but she would never call me, and I would be pissed off. I'm like, I'm not gonna keep running up my phone bill. She never calls me, so I would just lay by the phone sometimes, and she would call, and we would talk. And one of my best times with her was because I was so depressed. This is like the 1990s. I was so depressed one time, and the phone rang, and when I picked it up, it was her rhyming one of the songs I wrote. She was saying one of my raps, word for word. And that really cheered me up immediately. So these are Sagittarians. And plus she actually got a job as a type of nurse and healing people. That's what they do. So it's got to be deeper. It can't be Gemini when you get to Sagittarius. Because you're still going to be breaking up and making up and going through a lot of what I would call, I'm just using the word immature stuff. See, that's why Gemini represents that early education. And the third house, earlier education. We're still a little baby, still learning, still trying to learn the community around you. But by the time you get to Sagittarius, you're supposed to be mature and cultured. You've traveled, you know the world. You might be able to speak a different language. You got class. So the ninth house is where we search for truth, experiences that broaden the mind and help us form our philosophy of life. Here we expand our consciousness, synthesize meaning from facts and experience, adjust personal attitudes to collective ideas. In other words, going from selfishness to collective ideas, and understand how things are integrated into systems. This house rules higher education, religion, ethical understanding, spiritual vision, in-laws, long journeys, law, and the higher courts. Here is what remains of the purification that took place in the eighth house, its cedar essence. Many planets in the ninth house are usually an indication of being unwilling to accept the unconventional limits which with them we were raised. Well, she doesn't have that. With the moon in the ninth house, you have the ability to dream. I'm just going to read what he said. With the moon in the ninth house, you have the ability to dream true. Keeping a dream journal would be helpful in your growth. In other words, he's saying if you dream it, it could come true in the ninth house, and he's telling you to keep a dream journal. You're open to the superconscious dimension and develop your personal philosophy through dedication to an idea. Honesty and truth is something that others sense in you and support. You might find yourself teaching or guiding others in a group or religious philosophy. Travel, especially with others, is indicated. All right. And that was nice. Now somebody going to tell me the truth about Gemini in the ninth house. Is that astral? Let me see. Is it right? I'm going to try Astro Fix, but I can't guarantee it. If not, I got somewhere else I'll try. See, it said page not found. Come on, hurry up. We'll try it again. See? You don't want to touch it. I'm going to try it again. Page not found. See, Astrofix won't even touch it. Astrofix.net, Gemini in the houses. Alright, this is astrologyclub.org. Gemini in the ninth house. You likely go to your philosophical and or spiritual beliefs to seek and find ways to gain information and knowledge or to prove what you know. This is an interesting position for Gemini. See what I'm telling you? An interesting position for Gemini because it represents the student in the teacher's house. See, Gemini is the baby. Just the way it is. No disrespect. But Gemini is the baby. The ninth house is your higher self. This is the teacher's house. This is the mature person. Gemini is just the baby. Again, this is astrologyclub.org. It's likely that you are challenged by authority figures and seek to learn and know more than they do so you can feel free to think and believe what you want. There is a danger that you think you know more than you really do, and you miss out crucial information trying to prove your wisdom prematurely. It is important not to depend on or expect education and information alone to carry you. Because somebody can say, I know, but do you really know? If you hear certain people talk, they say understand, understand, overstand. That's what they mean. There's a difference. You need to actually have the life experience to have credibility. So a Gemini might try to get a surface understanding. They read a book and then they think they try to sit with a master teacher. Or they sit with somebody that's actually been to a certain country and actually been there. So the Gemini read a book about a certain jungle and try to hold a conversation like he knows what he's talking about. But the person that's actually been in the jungle can tell. And the Gemini will say, hey, listen, I read this in a book. And that teacher will take that book and throw it across the room and say, that's your problem. You read it in a book. You were never there. You should be quiet. You may find that communicating the wisdom of your life experiences to others helps you and others learn and grow in your life journeys. But they said communicating the wisdom of your life, keyword, experiences, not what you just read in a book. In the ninth house, we are involved with the higher mind, the higher self, higher education, philosophy, psychology, religions, society, all the disciplines which require intellect. This is where Gemini can actually shine or bring forth all the characteristics of the intellectuality. Again, the caution is, and this is this person, not me. Again, the caution is Gemini could approach these disciplines purely from an intellectual viewpoint or an intellectual curiosity. In other words, he's acting like he knows it, but he doesn't. You studied it. There's a difference. Now, this is what they say about the difference between the ninth house and the third house. Since the ninth house is directly opposed to the third house of communication, the karmic responsibility of Gemini in the ninth house is to be involved in the higher disciplines, but to learn how to communicate them correctly. Of course, the ninth house is the house of freedom, and Gemini needs the freedom to explore, to investigate, but the results of the exploration and the results of the investigation must be communicated to others in a way of true meaning. Gemini must learn how to communicate from the higher mind quality. Not just saying, oh, I read it. You have to really know what you're talking about, experienced it. So Gemini must learn in the ninth house. Gemini must learn to harmonize or balance intellect, which means knowing, and wisdom, which means knowing through experience, with life itself, as these things are applied in the nitty-gritty daily encounters with people, places, and events. So they talk about justice in the ninth house. The legal aspect of the ninth house. The legal aspect of the ninth house could illustrate itself in Gemini through an analytical approach. Carrying over the influence of the 8th house, Gemini could develop a sense of the higher justice of spiritual law as it relates to mankind and the ability to teach that to man. This teaching aspect of Gemini on the ninth house or in the ninth house is important from the viewpoint of the college professor. And in both instances of the 3rd and ninth house, communications on the part of Gemini could be through writing and publishing. Give me one moment. All right. Things are starting to freeze up. I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be back. All right. So that's why you see that's definitely a situation. Too much Gemini energy, and it has to be. They have to heal it. The universe is trying to heal it. All right. So I'm just letting you know there's a reason why that moon is trying its best to get out that ninth house. That it's just me. I'm just saying in-laws, but that's me. But that moon is trying its best to get out that and try to get with Cancer. Because the moon represents the divine feminine or the mother aspect. On tmoon.com. All right. Well, there was just a full moon in Gemini on December 3rd. All right, we're going to try this one. This is southfloridaastrologer.com, moon in Gemini. I just want to see what they're doing. See, whenever you're in a relationship with a person, try to find out exactly how they view it. Because it's kind of like we'll jump into something that we're not really ready for. And that's one of the reasons why you're going to have problems. And never just expect someone to accept what you think. Because you're going to have problems because they may not accept what you think. All right, this says the person with the Gemini moon is truly forever young. Gemini is the lightest of the signs and keeps a person curious and active well into old age. The Gemini moon despises restriction. See, that's that Saturn. The Gemini moon despises restriction and realizes that putting too much importance or weight on anything in life is a self-restrictive behavior. So this person, this Gemini moon is going to rebel. Like you're not going to be pushed. And that's what they're trying to get the hell out of that ninth house. Because that ninth house is basically saying, hey, you got to learn. You got to get this. And that moon is saying, no. That moon is running. Get me out of here. Where's mommy? They're trying to go back to the family house. To Imom Kweli. It's more pleasurable for the Gemini moon person to sample everything in their life for a short time without the investment of a great deal of time or effort into any one thing. So this person, that Gemini is a runner. Then they are always free to move on to the next. And that's what you see the moon doing. It's moving on to the next house. It's getting the heck out of that ninth house. Then they are always free to move on to the next interesting thing that comes their way. Putting life together like a puzzle, the Gemini moon finds fact gathering to be one of their greatest interests. But again, it's an interest, but not, you understand? I like to know, but I don't need to know all that. You understand? I like to know, but I don't need to know all that. That's Gemini. I like to know, but I don't need to know all that. But there's aspects of the natal chart and aspects of a relationship that you have to dig deeper. And Gemini's like, nah, I don't need to know all that. Whether it is the latest technology or just social gossip, Gemini is skilled at finding the accurate information. This way of life sounds wonderfully fun and free, but it comes at a cost. Gemini moons are important and Gemini moons are impatient and the most easily bored of any sign. And don't feel bad because my true north node is in Gemini. And my twin's higher self just let me know that. She said you're in number 3. I like, what is she talking about? And then I looked it up and I did a reading. I was so pissed off with that reading that I didn't publicize it. Because she went in. I was just doing a reading and she just showed up, my twin's higher self. You're in number 3. And number 3 is like that too. Very impatient. And Gemini is the 3rd house. And I'm a number 3 with Gemini and Leo and Libra there. She really went in on me. Number 3. You're impatient. You jump into stuff, then you jump out. You have no loyalty. She was going off. Like, how dare you? So Gemini moons are impatient and the most easily bored of any sign. The world is not always exciting and interesting enough to keep these people occupied and engaged. They find themselves experiencing a great deal of what feels like idle time. Because I'm like that. I have to stay busy. And I'm not with no silly shit. Many fill the time with intellectually stimulating entertainment like news, reading, or conversations. Others fall into Gemini's dark side and become fascinated with schemes or trickery. Uh-oh. Well, that's because of Hermes. Gemini, Hermes. The G-E-R or Gabriel. Like I teach people in my spiritual teachers. That's why they fall into schemes and trickery. Gemini's restless nature. I'm not saying I would do that, but a lot of Geminis might. Gemini's restless nature combined with their lightning. See, lightning, anybody that listens to my spiritual, I told you who the lightning is. The lightning continents in the scriptures. I can't make this stuff up. Gemini's restless nature combined with their lightning fast intellect can get them into some trouble if they allow it. They are the first to notice loopholes or ways to get around rules. Most are strong enough to avoid this slippery slope, but regardless, every Gemini moon is fully aware of the shortcuts or tricks in this world. But they're nearly impossible to trick or deceive. They will see it coming every time. Although the title of paranoid generally goes to Pisces, Gemini moon, and that's her true north node. So this female's a trip. That's her true north node is Pisces. Although the title of paranoid generally goes to Pisces, Gemini moons fit the description very well. Gemini moons are the least trusting of any moon sign. Now you got Scorpio who doubts everybody. And then you got the Gemini moon who's the least trusting. Even less trusting than Scorpio moons because it's just so easy for them to see every possible way someone could deceive them. And that's Neptune too, because Neptune is not really with trusting people too. If you give Neptune a scenario, it'll go with the worst one. And your Neptune is in Scorpio. So you got to remember this stuff. So you should be taking notes and writing it down. Many are untrusting to the point of cheating themselves out of opportunities to come their way because they just can't believe they can be true. They are better off using their suspicious nature for their profit by making a career as an undercover police officer or detective. So that takes you back to the 8th house, and you do have Scorpio in your 2nd house. So they're saying a career in investigations would be good for you. Anything where you don't have to judge motive. Because if you have to judge personality and motive, you're probably going to see a lot of negativity, which may not really be there. The mind of a Gemini moon is constantly on the move. They have an explainable inner drive to keep thinking and moving. Other people are often drawn to their energy and feed off of it. It gets people excited and energized. The Gemini person is full of ideas and ready to go try them, or at least the very least, always has a comment or something to add to any conversation. Gossip is a secret pleasure of theirs, and they are even willing to spill gossip about themselves just to satisfy their moon's need to create the stimulation. This constant need for stimulation makes many of them very funny. They enjoy toying with people with elaborately set up jokes and just witty one-liners. Gemini moon people are not soft, warm, and cozy. We're definitely not. That's my true north node. Many have an edge caused by their unwillingness to trust people and their airy detachment. They may not trust people because people have sold them out repeatedly. Maybe they're not paranoid. Maybe they're just honest. They can come off as cold and rigid, and many times people don't trust them because they can't feel anything when they are with them. I get that a lot. Don't expect too much in the way of emotion. It's not there. They are detached and intellectual. You know what's funny? Well, my moon sign is not Gemini. My true north node is Gemini, but not my moon sign. I actually have Venus in my That's what I was trying to tell you. A lot of this stuff is true, even if the placement's not what they say it is, because they're describing me to a T. But my moon sign is Capricorn, way on the other side, in the 8th house. But in my 3rd house, number 3, is Venus. I believe the true north node. Am I wrong? Let me take that back. My true north node is Cancer, I think, in the 2nd house. That's my true north node. But Gemini is still in the 3rd house with Venus and the Sun. They are detached and intellectual, processing the world like a computer. I do that also. Enjoy for their quick minds and exciting nature. They're never boring and are stronger than they may seem. That was good. I like that one. Yeah, baby. All right, so that is your 9th house and my 3rd. All right. But your moon is trying to get the heck out of there, 9th house. I'm sick of you, Gemini, you and your in-laws. I'm out of here. Let me get back to the sign I rule, which is Cancer. All right, Cancer in the 10th house definitely implies a family business. Some type of family business. Might be educational, because I already told you Cancer can also be teenage adult education, land and property, real estate, ancestors, family, the heart, vehicle, or travel. Lilith retrograde makes everything go internal and tries to force what's on the internal to come out. Lilith retrograde does not always tell you what they're thinking. They keep it inside, but then they act. So you might have a person with a Lilith retrograde do something to get you back, and you don't even know why they're doing it, because you might have said or did something that they didn't necessarily like, and they took it personal. Give me a moment. Your midheaven is medium coeli. Now, the moon and Cancer in the 4th house is Imom coeli. Imom coeli. And that's usually the mother, whoever raised you as a mother, in your subconscious mind. That's Imom coeli. But now medium coeli in the 10th house is your midheaven. It's the same thing. MC or midheaven. This is the zodiac sign that was at the southern highest point above the horizon at the moment you were born. The southern highest point is known as the medium coeli or midheaven. The midheaven is the entrance to the 10th house and relates to your career, reputation, and social standings. These are your most visible achievements in the eyes of the world. This will guide you to your professional achievements and responsibilities, your life purpose, if you will, your highest aspiration. And again, in your case, your life purpose is really in your 6th house. I'm sorry, let me do it again. I was counting his chart. I want to count yours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is in your 6th house, and it's spiritual. It's Pisces. So in your case, your 10th house has nothing to do in that sense with your life purpose. That's just your career. Your midheaven sign should give you some insight into what you need to realize your full place in life. Well, it would be family. You also must consider any planets that may be found in your 9th house and 10th houses. They will modify the end results and make a difference into what career you likely choose and how successful you will be. So you said 10th houses and 9th houses. Well, let me do that again. Yep, 9th house and 10th house. The moon and 10th. Only planet is the moon. So once again, it's the Imum Coeli. It's the mother. Nurturing. Family. But she wants to be free. All right. But your 5th house is the home. So he's kind of right. He's kind of right because your 5th house. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your 6th house is the home. And then your Imum Coeli, which is where she's being pushed out of. I kept telling you that moon is running. That moon is running to mommy. See, I don't make this stuff up. That's why it cracks me up when people try to give me a hard way to go. Everybody has a gift and a calling. That's like me trying to jump in a boxing ring of a heavyweight champion and trying to tell him how he's going to win the match. And I've never been in the gym. Or I've been in the gym, or I watched somebody in the gym while I was sitting down on my you-know-what watching television. Yeah, I was watching Sylvester Stallone work out in the gym for Rocky. I just watched a video of that back in the 1980s. And I was just eating my popcorn and drinking my fat-free soda. But now I'm going to jump in the ring and tell a heavyweight champion of the world how to box. I told her. She's being pushed out of... For every reason I told you about Gemini, she's being pushed out of that to be mommy. Because that's kind of like her purpose. True North Node is spiritual in the home sector. So they're kind of telling her, girl, you got some growing up to do. So that's what you see here. Now, and because Lilith is retrograde, you have to be careful because Lilith catches feelings very easily. And she doesn't let you know what she's thinking. That's why she's retrograde. You have to be very careful. And he also has Lilith retrograde with medium Coeli. By focusing on your medium Coeli, you can refocus your idea. Coupled with your natural talents and inclinations, you should eventually find your place in the world and become re-energized. You can also use your midheaven sign to understand your personal and spiritual goals. And that's exactly what's going on. And what's funny, I just found this. Like, I just started using this. What I'm reading to y'all, I just started using this like yesterday. Because I used to read the medium Coeli all the time. I just said medium Coeli. That's why I keep telling you, all this stuff is planned. I wish more people would understand that. Spend less time wanting to debate everything and talk about everything and argue everything, and more time thinking. You're in a matrix that keeps you dumbed down. They don't want you to use your brain because then you will wake up. You can also use your medium coeli or midheaven sign to understand your personal and spiritual goals. You can gain insight into why you react the way you do to stressful situations. Being social is different for everyone. The medium coeli can help you learn to trust your best social qualities to cultivate. It will show you how others perceive you. This can help you ascertain if your public face is helpful to you or not. And again, when you say public face, it's taking you right back to that first house, where she's got Libra and the sun going on. All right. Good fortune, and let's do good fortune in the 6th house first. Let's do good fortune in the 10th house. This person knows deep down that he must fulfill his role in society. Mommy. This person chooses a field where he can be a professional person. Home business. This person needs a place in the outside world where their status and position is high and their name is associated with the field that they are in. This is the house of recognition and public standing, of career and ambition, of success and responsibility. Remember, this is Capricorn's house. Well, not today, because Cancer's there, baby. Mommy's coming home, baby. So the person whose good fortune is here is not afraid of hard work and effort if there is a goal to be reached. Okay, that's good fortune. Now, good fortune in Cancer, because we want to correct that. We want to correct what he just said about Capricorn. Good fortune in Cancer. Very nurturing, warm, and maternal. Maternal, mommy. Maternal, mommy. The person with the good fortune in Cancer seeks security in the domestic circle. For him, security is essential for happiness and success. So here's the deal. At some point in your life, you're going to be pushed into that one way or another, or you're going to miss it. You're going to get close to it and miss it for whatever reason. I kind of think that's your decision. I could be wrong about that. It might be the universe's decision, but I kind of think it's yours. We already did your 11th house. And now the final house. The house of reckoning and subconscious. The house of ending and karma takes you back to your 6th house, ruled by Virgo, which also deals with your true north node. All right. The 12th house. It's the house of the subconscious, the house of the unconscious. It's where you have to decide to consciously confront your lives, things going on in your life, or sweep these things under the rug. It's the house of reckoning. It's the house of karma. It's the house of endings. It looks at things that are hidden from public view. So, this shadow play is slow and long and often fraught with fear and pain. In the 12th house, you're confronted with your sorrows, sufferings, and the secrets you keep from yourselves and from others. It's all in your subconscious mind, the unconscious mind. And that's why Neptune is there, because your 12th house is ruled by Pisces, and Neptune rules your 12th house. So this person is very psychic because they got a Neptune, Pisces, Scorpio connection going on. So in the 12th house, you're going to meet up with the results of everything you've done. So you're going to be dealing with repressed issues, repression, and restraint. So what's in your subconscious mind will be forced out consciously. Hoping it'll make you be transformed or even reborn. Because that's going to determine how you move forward. So the 12th house pushes you to seek closure in a spiritual way to positive growth. So the last house of the zodiac, the 12th house, recognizes that you could feel bound in life, stuck and confined. For this reason, this house also rules jails, hospitals, institutions, asylums, buildings, churches, and any space that inhibits freedom. So because this person likes freedom so much, they might not like the 12th house a whole lot. But I don't know what's in the 12th house. I'm not looking at the chart, but I'm assuming Pluto might be there. I think I did see Pluto and Venus. See, Pluto's like the big boy, and he's going to help you with that. You can't run from Pluto. More gloominess in the 12th house comes in the form of danger, secret enemies, clandestine affairs, prostitution, sexual exploits, additions, animals, and other dangers. The 12th house is the house of the champion of positive transformations. It's going to help you determine how you move forward with your life. You have to learn to use the unconscious mind to revisit the past, because that's going to help you form your incoming future. So that's what the 12th house is about. And because you got Virgo there, it's all about healing. And Pluto's going to help you deal with your 8th house, ruled by Scorpio, because Pluto rules Scorpio, and your 2nd house, ruled by Scorpio. And Venus, and remember, your 8th house and your 2nd house deal with money. And Venus also deals with money. Venus deals with love, beauty, finance, dancing, going out, having fun, forgiveness, diplomacy, money. And Pluto is just very transforming, very deep. Let me just see. I'm going to see if I see something I doubted. Just give me a second. I'm going to look around because I'm looking for something specific. And I think I may have found it. Not bad. All right, so we're going to look at Pluto and Virgo in the 12th house first. Virgo often flags up areas where one is efficient and meticulous, but possibly overly hard on oneself, a tad critical and compulsive. There's a strong mental ability, particularly an ability to anticipate problems before they arise, but it can lead to overanalysis and anxiety. Because I keep telling you, you got a lot of Scorpio, you got a lot of Neptune, a lot of Virgo, and these are people that just be seeing shit. I mean, it'll drive somebody crazy. Like, chill out. I mean, it could be true, though. Some of that stuff could be true, but I'm like, whoa, why don't you at least wait till it happens? Okay, Virgo is a mutable sign, so there is an element of flexibility here. The groundedness of Earth directed outward into practical matters that must be done properly, no shortcuts. Routines are flagged up with Virgo. They are important, and deviation from them can be unsettling. The traditional planetary ruler is Mercury, Virgo and Gemini, with its emphasis on communication skills. Virgo can indicate areas where there is meticulous attention to the written word. Finally, there is an interest in health matters where Virgo can be found, possibly an interest in alternative remedies and the use of aromatherapy and herbalism. And that would also connect back to Scorpio, because Scorpio does stuff like that too. And I already told you your 8th house, 2nd house, and 12th house are connected. Now, Pluto in the 12th house in Virgo points to the areas of death and renewal, aspects that have been kept hidden needing to come out to the surface, just like I said, and problems incorporating these aspects of myself with my other characteristics. That's why I said with people, they need to learn. This is not going to happen overnight. It's all about once you get this information, it's like your document. It's like if it was espionage. And I did the gathering, I did the information gathering, and I passed it off to you. Now, you just got hit with a lot of information. There's no way you're going to contact me right away. You didn't even look it over. Because you got information that's going to help you for years to come. And if I can't even get to my own natal chart, it took me a long time. I did the whole thing. I wrote it all out. But I've never had a chance to go back over it and really start to study it and figure things out. So it takes a while. Because that's more important to me. See, this isn't marketing for me. Out here on YouTube, you got a lot of people making a lot of money. But it's just marketing. It's like little kids in a candy store. Oh, I'll sell you whatever. I don't care. I don't care how you intake it. I don't care how it affects you. I just need to get paid. And you got people that are running like, but they don't really want to, they're scared to death. Like I said, they're scared of the 12th house. They're scared of the 8th house. And it's always got to be somebody else's fault. They never take no responsibility. It's not going to help you. And that's why when they see the intensity of it, they run from it. And it's easier to go somewhere else. Even if they get faulty information or some other information, as long as they're not held accountable for their actions, they feel great. But the moment there's some type of accountability, like I said, I don't do bubblegum astrology. I've never done bubblegum. That's what that is. That's bubblegum astrology. It's like you're walking down a boardwalk with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and all of a sudden you want to get a tattoo out of nowhere. Hey, let's get a tattoo. LOL. Oh, I think I'll have my palm read. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And that's why I like those psycho movies. When somebody does that, like they think this is a joke. And now I'm going to get my palm read. I see death. I see blood. Ah! No, but that's what you get because you're going into a world where there's people. And you're using those people to make you feel a certain way. But these people are going out of their way to help you in your world. They don't have to tell you anything. So it's about a respect level. So I see it more like that. I don't see it like this is a game. This is your life. This is your life, and there's life that's going to come out of you. So it's their life too. That's how I see it. Don't want to make it overly serious, but I'm not going to make it overly goofy either. All right. So now, Pluto in Virgo in the 12th house. She says I'm a perfectionist, and that's because she's a Virgo. In fact, I am my own worst and hardest critic, and I take criticism from others very badly indeed. See, she's a true Virgo, because they love to criticize you, but you better not criticize them. Since the 12th house can indicate where you have been hurt in the past, and so buried deep inside, this suggests I was criticized when I was younger. Remember your 12th house is supposed to be that final house. And then you got the ascendant in the first house, which is kind of like the rise. But in your case, they made your 12th house and your first house the same. This is true in a sense my mother pushed me very hard in school and was never satisfied with anything less than perfection. I learned from early on that high marks were the only way to please my mother. Mommy dearest. Possibly this resulted in excellent exam marks and eventually my PhD in church history. But it also meant that I originally got into Oxford to study law. I hated it there and left after a year. The result was devastation in my family. This, I suppose, is one of those dramatic and painful changes the 12th house and Pluto point to. Around this time, and always during my exams in my case, my obsessive compulsive disorder flared up. I had battled with it on and off for years. Though alternative therapies have helped. Because sometimes we do have to seek counseling. But that really goes back to that Imom Coeli, that mother or that parent pushing you in. Unbelievable, and it messes people up. And that's why you talk about Sigmund Freud. Now in my life, I am learning to take control of many of these issues. Slowly, I have forged a life for myself that is true to what I want. But the critical perfectionist tendencies are still with me, of course. Plus dreadful guilt issues if I ever take time off. In many ways, I enjoy my Virgo influence. I always work hard and take great pride in what I do. But the darker side of it is my fear that I will be punished if I don't do something perfectly and don't work 24/7. Well, you poor woman. And that deep at my core, I am lazy and worthless. No, that's your mother talking. Mommy dearest, psycho mom. That's psycho. You've got to push psycho mom out of your... She meant well, but she effed up. My fun-loving, kind, and gentle husband, however, is a wonderful antidote to these feelings. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing, madam. That was very wonderful. Okay, now we were reading from a magic with a K. A magic a magical, but it's still with a K. But it's a CK. A magic with a CK. A magical life astrology.blogspot.com. Pluto in Virgo in the 12th house. So Pluto will try to get you to see. A lot of people, they don't want to. When you really walk this spiritual walk, you're going to learn to question God. You're going to learn to question your parents. All the stuff you were taught not to do by Christianity, which is that's the matrix given to you by a bunch of power-hungry people. They gave you religion to keep you just like you are, a nut job, scared to do this, scared to do that. But astrology is the real religion. That's why when your Bible tells you Jesus had a star. See, Jesus had astrology. He had a star that led the wise men to him. Because without that astrology, you will have no wisdom. And that wisdom is Sophia, a beautiful woman who's trying to help you and liberate you. But they call her a whore and they say she's wicked. You have to stop listening to these nut jobs that run the world right now. They're on their way out. You got to get back to what the ancients knew. This is why I'm talking about Cancer and your 4th house and your ancestors. That's what you had to start listening to. And if you get your angel cards, they're going to tell you the same thing. Get the Archangel cards. They're going to tell you the same thing. It's time to return back to who you really are. You're one with the stars. We're all one. It's these idiots that separated everything. And our parents meant well, but they were trained by the same idiots. So they gave us all this crazy stuff. And now we're walking around messed up. And sometimes we can't admit it. Therefore, God gave you a person like me, because I'm not going to back down. The idea of somebody getting upset with me when I'm trying to help, I'm not going to turn the other cheek. I'm going to let you feel the same pain you're directing my way. Because there's a better, more mature way to get through this than getting mad and getting upset. I'm not a counselor. I never said I was a counselor. If you want me to act like your counselor, then pay me like you would pay a counselor. Otherwise, be thankful somebody went out of their way to show you what's on your chart to help you in your life, your personal life, just you and your twin flame life, or anybody else you ask me about. I had one lady ask me about the dog. I said if the dog is born, he has a natal chart. If he's born on this planet, he's born under a date that has a natal chart. He comes under some principality. There's a principality that's in an angelic realm that's responsible for that dog. That's why when I pray for people, they don't pray for my dog Fluffy. Oh, Fluffy has a poor tummy. Oh, Fluffy. I pray for Fluffy. We're all one. It's not that difficult. You have to forsake the matrix. I'm not saying you got to come out and lose your job. I'm not saying nothing like that. But mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, it's time to wake up. And that's the real reason why you hear my voice or why you contact me. But everybody gets scared. They're either scared of the 8th house, they're scared of Scorpio, they're scared of the 12th house, or they're scared of me. You got to stop being scared. We're all human. So this poor, wonderful woman, the universe gave her a wonderful husband who puts up with that crazy stuff that she learned from my Mom Quelly, mommy in the 4th house. All right. Now that's Pluto in Virgo in the 12th house. There to make you see what's going on. And then you would also follow Virgo energy throughout your chart. Wherever Virgo rules the 6th house, you will look at your true, because that's your true north node. You will look at that again. Your 12th house is going to help you with your 6th house. And then you would also look at who's in your 6th house, and that's Pisces, and follow that to Neptune in your 2nd house with Scorpio. Things like that. That's how you study your chart. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to do it again, because that was very... Thank the universe. I thank the universe for giving me that. Because they don't like to do things like that. Like, they don't like to go Pluto and Virgo in the 12th house. They'll go Pluto in the 12th house, or Virgo in the 12th house, or Pluto and Virgo. But they don't like to do it like 3 or more times. So I'm going to try it again with Venus in Virgo in the 12th house. But if we don't find it, we still did really good. And we'll still do Venus and Virgo or something. This is a good one, but it's in Yahoo Answer. So I don't know how good they're going to be. It's June 7th, 2014. The question was Venus and Virgo in the 12th house, Libra ascendant, equal divorce? But it's a question mark. They're saying, does that equal divorce? And then this know-it-all says, no, not an indication of divorce. So now he's going on to this philosophical manner. First of all, understand that your chart is only an influence of what goes on inside of you. It doesn't control external events. I kind of agree with that. And it doesn't even control you unless you allow it. But since it represents your inner needs, and since our behaviors and choices are driven by our inner needs, it is helpful to understand what's going on inside of you. So what you can make your choices, so that you can make your choices with more awareness, and also make choices that are more likely to make you happy. This guy's really going off. Venus, which represents your relationship need, is in cautious, useful, helpful Virgo. In the house that which is hidden, the 12th house. In other words, there is a strong unconscious need to be choosy about who you get involved with and to be helpful to anyone you relate in any way. Virgo is a sign of self-evaluation, of measuring how you are doing. So you get a lot of your self-value from how useful you are to others. And this creates strong unconscious patterns that can drive you to repeat the same behaviors. Venus in the 12th house places strong emphasis on the need to be aware of your behaviors and responses in your relationships, so you can determine which ones work for you and others, and you will strengthen by choosing and repeating those. And so you can see which behaviors, responses do not work well, and then you can let those habits die out by neglecting to repeat them, because it is death, rebirth, and rejuvenation and regeneration. In this way, your relationship becomes a vehicle for inner growth and improvement, as well for course for the Virgo drive to make a contribution to others. This is always helps them help themselves. Don't do it for them. Make them learn to do it themselves. Don't do it for them. He went on. This guy really went on. But he doesn't identify himself. But they really gave a lot of information. I wish he had identified himself. But he said anonymous 4 years ago. And he got 2 likes. He says love does not make a marriage work. It only makes us attached to that other person, so we hope it will work. But without sufficient maturity, there goes that Gemini needing to grow up. It is not going to work. Not even with the best astrology behind it. This is what I try to teach the people. Remember that astrology is only an influence, and its influence is on our internal self. Very wise person, but they say anonymous. It's almost like an angel wrote this. The silent hero that doesn't want to tell you what his name is. All right. That's very good. That was a wonderful ending for the chart on the right side. Now, let me see how much time we got. All right, I would have to. This has 2:11 on this one. I would have to stop this. See, I'm going by my time. My time will be different from yours. I would have to stop this at 2:30 anyway. So I'm just going to start the new audio for myself with the other chart. I'll be back. All right, on the second chart, you can already see the first house. And the EP is Scorpio. Now he has a nice amount of 19s in that area. Well, he's got a 9 as well as 19, but 19 is kind of like a galactic number. Just to let you know. Now, in his first house, Mars used to rule Scorpio. Now Mars rules Aries. And Pluto rules Scorpio. But this is still going to be a very intense person because of what I just said. Even with Aries rules the first house. Very intense, very emotional. Now, we've already listed everything that's in the 8th house ruled by Scorpio. So any of those things could apply to this person. So their ascendant is also their moon sign. This is going to be a highly psychic person, very intuitive, very psychic. So, of course, you have to take your time and make sure you know which planets are in the house. And when you see Neptune, so if you notice, his first house is a lot like her second house in the sense that you got Neptune. So these are people that could be very connected to addictions because of Neptune and Scorpio, but also the whole thing I told you about doubting, suspicious. You know, if they're given an opportunity, they're going to choose the negative. Now, this is what the astrologers are saying. If you study like Neptune and Scorpio, it's not just me saying it. This is what the astrologers are saying. Because these are all reasons why on her chart we found out that there may be relationship issues. So you're starting to find out some of the more reasons why when you look at his chart. So we explained what the ascendant was on the other side. We explained what the east point was on the other side. So we have those definitions. So again, when you're doing a chart, you have to make sure of the placements. Now, that's what I'm saying. See, Neptune is really in the second house, but it is so close to the border of the first house. I would have included it anyway. And the reason why I would have did that, because of the intensity of a Scorpio Neptune energy connection. It's going to be very intense. So remember, Scorpio, ascendant, rising, because the ascendant and the rising sign is the same sign. Even Scorpio in the first house, which is the personality, anything that I listed that's in the 8th house, this person could be connected to. But it's going to be very intense. Could be secret and mysterious. It could be highly sexual. And this first house is automatically connected to what's ever going on in the 8th house. So the first thing we want to look at is Moon in Scorpio. All right, this says scorpioland.org. First time I've ever seen it. Moon in Scorpio. They say whatever Scorpio sun might feel is more intensified at the Scorpio moon level. Scorpio moon emotions are definitely more potent. So you're dealing with a lot of watery emotions. Very powerful, potent, concentrated, and on edge. It's like the Zodiac took a syringe, filled it with Scorpio extract, and stabbed it into the orchards of those born when the moon was in Scorpio. Even so, a Scorpio moon don't give off a harsh, hard vibe the way sensitive Scorpio suns do when they want to divert attention from their emotions. Although more extreme and raw, the moon in Scorpio emotions is much more vulnerable because the moon itself is the more vulnerable luminary. Yeah, because the moon is going to be all about emotions, motherly feelings, and nurturing. Since the moon's primary job is to feel, lunar Scorpios are primarily yearners and cravers. They crave all the things that Scorpio energy makes appealing: amped up passion, dangerous or mysterious mates, exciting sexuality, forbidden entanglements, profoundly deep connections, and intimacy so great you can't tell where one soul begins and the other one ends. Scorpio moons don't do boring and ordinary. So that's the type of stuff that'll make a female be addicted to at least that. They are always searching for the hottest, greatest, sexiest, and most loyal paramour. They don't just want them, they need them to feel secure. They need a love that feels right, passionate, and perfect in order to feel pacified. In love, Scorpio moons feel extreme devotion, but will break up and move on to find a more suitable lover because Scorpio moons must find their truest soulmate before they die and take their last breath. The moon, the source of a person's greatest need, can never just settle for less. Woo! And that's drama. Ha ha! Woo! Intense. Jupiter in Scorpio. Come on, I want one I want though. You gotta give me one I like. Wow. Zodiac Jupiter in Scorpio. All right, the one I read says Makara. Makara.us. Jupiter in Scorpio. Wow, this is some deep shit. All right, remember, this is Makara.us. All you got to do is type in your Makara, Makara, Jupiter in Scorpio. And then this should come up on your search engine because it's a lot of information. And we're going to check it out. Jupiter is a sign. Jupiter in Scorpio will increase the physical appetites as Scorpio is associated with the three subdiaphragmatic centers which impulse the instinctual nature. Astrally, the demand of satisfaction is increased and desire reinforced. Jupiter represents the expectation of fulfillment in relation to any aspect of the human energy system it may influence. Later, this combination is useful in the process of the second initiation, during which processes benefit Jupiter comes through death, Scorpio. In the case, the death of the selfish desired nature, properly expressed, Jupiter in Scorpio. And remember, right now, Jupiter is in Scorpio. Right now, Jupiter is in Scorpio up in space. Properly expressed, Jupiter in Scorpio brings the blessings, Jupiter of emotional release, Scorpio. Mentally deaf Scorpio of understanding, Jupiter, is increased. Upon the fixed cross, the mind is used as an instrument to see through and comprehend glamour. Control of the emotional nature comes through enhanced vision and understanding, and illumination grows. Scorpio makes desire insistent and intense, and Jupiter helps the environment fulfill that desire. As with Jupiterian Taurus, this combination helps the person get what he wants. Negatively, the Hydra may grow and be indulged. But whatever Scorpio appears, there is also a relinquishment, forced relinquishment. And Jupiter in Scorpio reveals the advantage of this relinquishment, whether material or spiritual advantages. Every investor knows that one must temporarily give or give up in order to receive later. Money, for instance, is given into the control of others, loans, so that it may return more abundantly, principal plus interest. So, yep, I'm going to tell you a fact. When Jupiter first entered Scorpio, a lot of people started having money problems. And I knew, I knew it had something to do with that, because it was still dealing with the 8th house, and they both deal with finances. Both the 8th house and Jupiter deal with finances, but Scorpio deals more with debt. So he's trying to say, if you lost anything when that happened, you would get it back more so. But Jupiter in Scorpio also is all this unraveling of the darkness, the dark side, the shadow side. These people that have gotten away with molesting people and beating and raping people for years and all, they're all getting busted now and all, losing their jobs, having charges brought against them, possibly going to jail. All of that is Jupiter in Scorpio. During the personal phase of development, this is a good training for deliberate sacrifice during the spiritual phase. In general, the sufficiently illumined personality under this combination will realize that there is always compensation for apparent loss. Scorpio rules the hierarchy of human monads. Regardless of a history of suffering and conflict, hope, Jupiter, springs eternal into the human breast. The very first law of the soul, the law of sacrifice, ruled by the 4th ray. Scorpio is a principal transmitter, constellationally, of the 4th ray. The entire human hierarchy has ascended into hell, the hell of material incarnation, for sacrificial and redemptive purposes. Every time a human being incarnates, he undergoes a scorpion death by suffocation, but the compensation is soul growth, the growth of the casual body under Jupiter, which rules the auric envelope. Jupiter in Scorpio fills personality life in great and small beneficial deaths. The soul cannot approach and infuse unless the personality is willing to give up those things which stand in the way. Through detachment from desire and the eventual death, the individual is released into the bounty of soul life. This arises the expectation Jupiter of gain, Jupiter from lost Scorpio. The way of sacrifice, Scorpio, becomes a way of joyful way, Jupiter. Naturally, soul personality fusion proceeds. Now, I don't know if you're hearing what I'm saying, because I don't even know. No, I do know. You don't know, I know. No, you might know. Now you understand what's going on. Now look at the charts. All you got to do is look at the charts. That's why she's got all that Jupiter with Libra and all that stuff. And then he comes with all the death and sacrifice and all that. And they can't make it work. Because that's the first thing we read. Oh, that her first house alignment, planet alignment, implies there might be problems in relationships. But this is why. Because it's death, birth, and rebirth and all that stuff. So this is some soul. This is why I be trying to tell you guys. All these guys that stay in third dimension, and you're mad at me because I'm telling you, that's the most silliest thing you can do. Because you're bucking against the universe. You're telling the universe who's trying to break you out of this matrix, oh no, this is what I'm gonna do. Oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, I don't like his tone. Oh, he's being spirited. No, you're immature. You're fighting against the universe, and if you don't get your shit together, the universe is going to start fighting you even harder. I'm trying to help. So now you understand what's going on with these two. It's the whole death and resurrection and sacrifice and universal law and all kind of stuff going on. Jupiter and Scorpio, doing typical human experience under the sign Scorpio, which rules all of humanity, head wars with heart, mind with love, and will with wisdom. Humanity's way initially is the way of war. What have I been saying? Everybody thinks I'm the weirdo. Humanity's way is war. You may give somebody a chart where you went out of your way to explain it, and it took 5 hours to do their chart. They get their chart, and within 20 minutes, they're trying to argue. Oh, no, that's not true because Oh, no. Making implications that I don't know what I'm doing. No, I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't be out here doing what I do if I didn't know what I was doing. I would go sweep floors. I'll do that if I have to. But one thing I'm not going to do is back down from my universal obligation to preach the truth from the universe just because somebody wants to stay in 3D. We're not staying in 3D. 3D is about the burn and fire. Don't you hear them telling you World War III? Why do you think it's 3? Bye-bye to 3D. Do you ever listen to the Rocks 1? The Fifth Age is on its way. Humanity's way initially is the way of war. Scorpio promotes the conflict between the dualities. That's your twin flame drama. And that's what we're seeing on both of the charts. Jupiter, however, is a unifying force. For the second ray, which is transmits, is the will to unify. Thank you, Jupiter. And Jupiter is the force which brings all together. And Jupiter was a big help with me doing my twin flame situation. And you can see it on the natal chart, where Jupiter goes out of his way to try to help these souls. Even if they're in separation, Jupiter still tries to help them. Jupiter always reveals that polarities are two parts of one whole. I keep telling you, we're all one and are intended to cooperate with and complement each other. But it's at a certain point of evolution after discrimination has been established. So when your twin is acting crazy, sometimes you got to give your twin over to the universe. If you tried talking, it ain't work. You tried everything, it ain't work. Then give your twin over to the universe. Stop worrying about it. Let the universe deal with your twin. Universe in Scorpio reveals how both aspects of warring dualities are needed for successful expression. The fourth ray is an aspect of the second ray, and in the normal progression of developments, fourth ray conflict resolves into harmony and then into second ray unity. Yay! And Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which I keep telling you, that's second ray unity. Just like I've been telling you. I'm not the crazy one, okay? Jupiter in Scorpio promotes this progress. Very simply, the expansion of consciousness is to be sought through wise and loving relinquishment. Like I said, you have to surrender to the universe. There's a giving up of lower things for higher. You got to come out of that third dimensional, lower vibrational nonsense. The words of Master Moria added, when have you ever become less through sacrifice? The relinquishment of the demands of the instinctual nature, Scorpio. What about me? I come first. Why don't they make me happy? Let's have a lot of sex. And then they get the sex and still leave you. Then you're sitting there feeling like an idiot. You don't touch these goods if you're not the one for me, baby. I don't get tossed around like a wet towel in a men's bathroom. You've got to stand up for yourself. Higher vibrations. Trust the universe. Stop trying to solve everything in your own nature. That's why your union is taking so long. Because you want to duke it out with everybody. You want it your way and you want it your way now. That animalistic scorpion instinct. The consciousness expands because it is no longer preoccupied with fulfilling the personal nature. This is when Jupiter tells Scorpio, sit your ass down, Scorpio. Be humble. Like Kendrick Lamar. One sees and knows more expansion, Jupiter, because released from the focal preoccupations of lower self or third dimensional thinking. Initially, fulfillment for the little self, then fulfillment of desire for the good of the whole, or fulfillment achieved through the ongoing expression of love. Jupiter fulfills desires. Let me read that again. Jupiter fulfills desire. Jupiter hopes and envisions, according to law, that which is conceived is achieved. The Hydra is happy, unaware, even that is it a Hydra. That it is a Hydra. Later, the man becomes a disciple, increasingly intent upon triumph over his lower nature, and intent also upon humanity's triumph. According to law, the individual is given abundance, Jupiter, power, Scorpio, to help humanity achieve this triumph. How does this happen? Because the disciple and the Scorpio is not afraid to die to his usual desires, the abundance of Jupiter returns to him. See what I'm saying? So it gets sacrificed, it gets taken away. But if you're going to sit there and lose your freaking mind, oh, how do I get this back? Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, this is going to happen to me. Oh, and all you're worrying about is third dimensional stuff. You're only making it stay away longer. It's when you surrender to the universe. I'm not going to worry about this. This is why I keep telling people walk in the spirit. If you get angel cards, they tell you the same thing. The archangel cards tell you. The more you get into your divine purpose, the less you have to worry about this and that. The universe begins to compensate. This is what they're trying to tell people. But a lot of people, they want to stay third dimensional, but they want to ask the universe for help. But you don't want to listen to the universe when it talks to you. And then you get mad at the people that the universe sends. Now, because the disciple is willing to joyfully do without, to just give it up, everything he needs and more flows back into his hands for the purpose of wise and selfless use. The principle is you can have the things you most desire as long as you are willing to relinquish those very things. This same dynamic operates in relation to Jupiter and Pisces, and that's her true north node is Pisces. The world rewards with abundance the one who has demonstrated his freedom from desire. Again, death, this time of desire, brings his compensation, Jupiter. And that's why I said the best thing, and I always said that. If you see your stuff ain't working with your twin for whatever reason, let it go. Stop driving yourself crazy. Because all you're doing is pushing it further and further away. You're fighting against the universe. Now, these are some of the meanings about Jupiter and Scorpio. Jupiter and Scorpio contributes to the opening of the sacrifice petals of the egoic lotus. And the same thing happens with Jupiter and Pisces. Jupiter and Scorpio signifies spiritual growth through sacrifice and death. Jupiter and Scorpio signifies the benevolence of death, and perhaps literally a benevolent death. Death becomes the bestower of a bounty. This is all 8th house stuff. Jupiter and Scorpio indicates the benefits which occur through the destruction of the form. A new freedom comes as a result. And Cancer was also in the 12th house. Again, endings. Just like she has some Cancer issues in her 10th house. The universe knows what it's doing. The other female talked about the 10th house with Pluto and Virgo in the 12th house. And she began to talk about her mother. That goes back to family. Imum Coeli, the moon in Cancer. Jupiter and Scorpio signify spiritual growth through crisis, privation, and loss. Jupiter and Scorpio signifies the broadening of one's perspective through conflicts, tests, and trials. Jupiter and Scorpio gives a profound understanding of life and death issues. Jupiter and Scorpio signifies that the deeper one goes, the more one grows and understands. Jupiter and Scorpio signifies the growth of occult power. Now that's what I'm talking about. Use the power you got. Your ancients knew that. Your ancestors knew that. It's the Matrix that took your power and got you believing in this crap. Not saying anything's working, but did you ever know what the word Ka-rear means? Ka is your soul. Rear means get behind me. Now, when you read a spiritual book, the Messiah says, get behind me, Satan. But when you come into Satan's matrix, the matrix says, Ka, get behind me, Ka-rear, your soul. Because he wants that soul. Like he gets all these entertainers and all these musicians to sell that soul. And he gets you to do the same thing if you're putting that ahead of God, the head of the universe. You're worrying more about silly stuff when you're not worrying about what your divine purpose is, but yet you have the audacity to ask astrology. And then you have the audacity when you get your answer, if you don't like it, you go to somebody else. That's like snubbing yourself at God. And you think you're going to get blessed, and you're not. You don't want to mess around with Scorpio. See, that's why the scorpion stings. In your Bible, Revelation chapter 9, the bottomless pit, you see Scorpios right there. Because when he stings you, it's all over with. Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the benefits of the Kundalini energy. Jupiter in Scorpio confers a broad understanding of hidden things and of events occurring behind the scenes. Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the expansion of the urge of transformation. Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the resurrection of the phoenix. And I just got hit with that recently. I didn't know why they were telling me about the phoenix. Somebody just hit me with that. I kept seeing it, but now I know why. Jupiter in Scorpio indicates that drastic changes are open for the good and even for the best. Woo! Jupiter in Scorpio expresses a strange paradox. The worse, the better. See, when God starts smacking you around, that's what the book of Job was about. And Job said, though God smacks me, still I love him. The worse, the better. Bring it on, baby. I'm not going nowhere because you got the blessings. See, it's all one. But you've allowed these people to make you think there's a difference between this and that, and it's not. It's all one. There'll always be one source of everything. That's common sense. Jupiter in Scorpio confers a realization that the more one gives up, detaches hands over one's resources, as it's kind of an investment, the more one will gain. This principle has both financial and psychological implications. So if you lose it, somebody took it for a reason. Put your trust in the universe. If it don't fit, don't force it. Just relax and let it go. Just because that's how you want it doesn't mean it will be sold. That was a big song back in the 1970s. You can look it up on YouTube. Materially, Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the growth of financial power through investments. Jupiter in Scorpio often brings wealth through managing the resources of others. Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the mutual benefits of shared power. This position indicates great benefits to be gained from the resource of others. Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the reception of material legacies. Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the reception of spiritual legacies. Negatively, Jupiter in Scorpio may indicate the growth of selfish power and the fulfillment of the baser desires and destructive instincts. And that's what you see right now in your news. The bad boys are getting exposed, and there's a fight trying to overthrow them, and they're fighting back. There may be a tendency to cultivate these negativities and indulge in them. Negatively, Jupiter in Scorpio signifies the complete satisfaction within and as a hydra rather than the undertaking of war against it. Jupiter enables, and Jupiter in Scorpio may signify an attitude of permissiveness with the hydra. So we don't want that hydra to win. It's kind of funny because Slim Shady, Eminem has out a new song called Untouchable. And he talks about, he's good with wordplay. So he makes a wordplay about Captain America. But if you're a Captain America fan like I am, you'll remember in the 1970s in the Captain America comic books when him and the Falcon had the war with Hydra. And that's where Nick Fury came from. Before Hydra, there was no Nick Fury. Nick Fury came, that was a secret organization set up to stop Hydra. That came in Captain America's book. And Slim Shady just said Captain America. And Slim Shady is the same dude that attacked the so-called president. And that's the gentleman that said he was going to drain the swamp. So all this is metaphysical happening right in front of you. So now we have a good understanding of what's going on with these two people. All right. Now, we really want Vesta and Scorpio. I'm going to tell you where to go because I won't be able to read all this. But this is Carol, BARBEAU.com. And it says Vesta. So you can put Vesta and Scorpio. So she gives you the history of Vesta. Wow. All right, so give me a second. I want to make sure I say this website. All right, let me look at this really quick. Okay, where and what sign Vesta is in within your birth chart or your natal chart will give you a great deal of information on your strength, past lives, and much more by sign Vesta through the 12 signs of the zodiac brings to you. If all of these signs seem a bit like you, that is correct. Vesta is a sacred flame that unites us all as one. See how everybody keeps saying as one? Vesta and watery Scorpio. She's the goddess, the priestess of passion and healing through giving 1%, 100% and more. Vesta and Scorpio is truly the death, regeneration, and rebirth energy of bringing the gift of self into all healings and showing others how to completely merge with others. But they're especially talking about the two souls. Vesta and Scorpio goes through intense and passionate healing of self on a constant basis and has much to give as it often gives either too much or not enough. Balance and moderation in giving is part of this lesson, and when to let go in trust and be totally present and out of self with others is part of this difficult balancing act. Okay, now this is her. She's telling you about her fees. She says, and she gives you her phone number to call for business. She says, please understand that on most appointments, I run at least an hour's worth of astrology, numerology, and other work to assist you on your path. Late cancellation with less than 24 hours prior notice will result in a charge equal to the amount of the service and time scheduled. Emergency situations will be taken into consideration. Insufficient return checks will be charged $25. She told you make appointments. Don't send her emails with questions. You have to make an appointment because she receives a whole lot of emails. She says, I do have a service for answering questions via email. And she gives you a service page. So that lady is about her business. But that page is good. I've never seen a page that extensive on Investor before. Now, I would love to find Venus retrograde in Scorpio. I can't. But see, this is what I'm trying to tell you. When I first came out here, all the stuff I'm finding, it wasn't out there before. Now I'm finding it. I thank God for that. Because, like, I know certain things, but I like to get second opinions. And like I said, you have a lot of people that's just out here looking to duke it out. You think I'm joking. They're looking to duke it out. So that's why I say, okay, listen, if I was the only one saying it, you'd have a right because it could be my opinion. But I'm showing you that the experts are saying the same thing. Come on. Uh-oh. This is astrology.com. Let me just see. And it says Venus Ret, R-E-T. It doesn't fully spell it out. But we're interested in Venus retrograde in Scorpio. Give me a second. This is kind of hard to read. Okay, give me a second. Just give me a moment because everything's acting a little funny. Sometimes you gotta hang in there. Right, give me a second. Gotta back up. All right. Because they're doing a whole lot of stuff. Like some of these people go on and go on and go on, and like you got to cut through all this to try to get to the point. Alright, I think I finally got what they're doing. Yeah, this whole page is about Venus retrograde. So there's another good page. So give me a second. I want to copy this. When Venus is retrograde, everyone's emotional state is more introspective, and we tend to react emotionally to the issues and concerns that relate to the sign involved. With Venus retrograde in Scorpio, everyone with this sign prominent in their charts will be especially prone to such introspection. Scorpio is a fixed sign, so it also has a notable effect on those with other fixed signs prominent in their charts. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Nevertheless, Venus does turn in a favorite segment of the zodiac, the terms of Jupiter. So we can consider our personal feelings and relationships with an eye on the opportunity to gain insight into one's own mode of relating, whether sexually, creatively, or financially. It may be connected with poison, so watch out where the jealousy and vengeance of Scorpio is awakened. So it's also saying something about Venus can become hard-heartedness and an inclination to vengeance. See, this is how my twin was. All of this. But they say by her doing that, it's going to open up the poisons of jealousy through Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio is sensual, possessive, and brooding, jealous to the point of being vindictive, yet intensely loyal in love. Since matters from the past tend to come forward during the retro phase, an old flame or a twin flame or reminiscence of lost love may reappear. So that's when you're dealing with twin souls, they're saying that's why you would see Venus retrograde, because you may be dealing with a past soulmate or a past twin soul. So this can lead to excessive jealousy or other excesses that lead to health complaints. Jealous marital relations, a need to control relationships, religious sentiments, she said that Venus turns retrograde in exact conjunction with the south node of Israel's chart. So some loss or financial karma along the lines of hard-heartedness and desire for vengeance may be expected in the Middle East. So you notice they keep talking about financial loss because they say the same thing about Jupiter and Scorpio, which it is right now. And there was a major financial loss. They're also threatening we're about to have financial problems. They keep talking about Bitcoin, and they're also talking about problems in the Middle East. Now, the Middle East is about to blow up, which is already blowing up because they just recognized Israel, Jerusalem, as Israel's capital. And they're going to move the American embassy there. So what this woman is saying is going on exactly right now. And she wrote this years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Venus in Scorpio stimulates a magnetic attraction to the opposite sex though in the retro phase, a more fated or destined feel suffocates the atmosphere as we seek to fathom the depths of the relationship. So she's saying when Venus is retrograde, that you will have a magnetic attraction to the opposite sex, but it's a fated opposite. See, that's that vertex or like a soulmate or your twin soul. So she's talking about Mars in Scorpio, but his Mars is in Libra. And we already know why, because his friend's ascendant is Libra. And Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So she wrote this before May 2011. So this thing's almost 6 years old, and it's unbelievably accurate. When she started talking about Israel, that really blew my mind. So I want to do a couple of things just to clarify this. Because she rambled. No, but she's really good, though. This is my first time ever seeing this woman that I know, but she's really good. She said that the swan is the mythic disguise of Jupiter. Did anybody know that? The swan is the mythic disguise of Jupiter. Yeah, she wrote this before October 2010, and she was that on point. That's why I said if you really understand astrology, shit will happen and you won't even phase it, because you'll be like, oh, that's only happening because of this, and you'll stop. Oh, I lost this. Oh, what's going on? You lose your freaking mind. She said when Venus is retrograde, it's not the best time to get married because it'll slow down a relationship. Everything slows down. So now you understand that first house. All right, again, second house, this person may make money over anything foreign. But he might also make money with philosophy or education or anything that has class or culture or anything with religion. That's what Sagittarius stands for. And he's great at what he does. He's a great speaker, and that is his sun sign. And I kind of told you all about my best friend who was a Sagittarius, so kind of like that sun sign. In his second house. And Sagittarius are healers too. That's why their symbol is a centaur. That person on the horse, the horseman with the arrow, that's a centaur. They're healers. That's why I said my best friend Sagittarius, she became a nurse. All right, all we're going to look at is we're going to look at good fortune in Sagittarius. Person is adventurous and expansive. Remember, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. The person with good fortune in Sagittarius will achieve happiness and success by reaching out to vaster mental and philosophical horizons. So whether he's expanding into long distances or just expanding horizons, metaphorically speaking, symbolically speaking, whatever he's going to do is going to be expansive. And again, Jupiter is not too far from that. So because that's Sagittarius, he will have money doing what he does. See, now you see. See, you can see it. Y'all might not see it, but I can see it. If you go all the way back to her fourth house, I said one of the problems is she's dealing with a more serious-minded male. And she's hitting him with, like, that Uranus he's not really ready for. Because Saturn wants to control. He wants to know. And it's how all control, you have to know when controlling is bad. And you have to know when controlling is abusive. Because it's just like a red light. If you're driving and you see a red light, you know you better stop. You can say, oh, well, that's intrusive. That's invasive. Oh, it's invading my privacy. I don't want to stop. I'm going through it anyway. And then you get killed. So not all control is necessarily bad, but if you're in a situation, you have to know. Just like, really, we're so immature now that we actually get upset if we have to work a job that actually has rules. Because my last job was like a free-for-all. It really was. And that's why that company closed down. So the third house is that Gemini energy, but see, he's serious. He's Capricorn. So everything I said about the third house, he's more career-minded and business-minded. So he's smarter, though, because Gemini might create something just for fun, but Capricorn is going to try to make it out of a business. Capricorn is going to try to get paid for their creation. They're not just going to sit there and write songs and sit up in a room or whatever. I like these people out here on YouTube that are giving you uncopyrighted information. You never give information out here that's not copyrighted. And even then, I wouldn't do it. Because somebody could still steal it. You have to find out they stole it. How would you know they even stole it? So somebody's got a hit song and you may never find out till like a long time from now. And then when you find out they stole your hit song, you're trying to tell everybody that's my song. And they say, well, why did it take you so long to report it? Well, I didn't know. And then you got to prove it. And you darn sure ain't going to prove it if it ain't copyrighted. And even if it's copyrighted, they're going to fight. Look how long it took for Sophia Stewart to win for the Matrix. It took her years to win that war. And still she had to compromise. And that's her creation. The Matrix and the other one. The Terminator. And probably Total Recall. She probably just doesn't even know it. Because all of that came out from that one thing. All of those movies came out because of that one thing. So that's hers too. She just doesn't know it yet. So he's more mature. And that's a problem for her because she views it as, oh wait, I'm a free spirit. I just want to go. So they got this like Gemini Capricorn thing going on. That's one of the areas, and I think it was others that we mentioned already. But moving on to his fourth house, whenever you see Aquarius, and that's his true north node, and he has Pallas. Well, usually when Pallas is retrograded, it helps you with social issues. But whenever I see Aquarius and Pallas together, I'm still saying it's social issues, it's women issues. It's like helping people that were considered like, only recently they're starting to take more complaints seriously from women. But before, women were kind of like overlooked in certain ways. So when you see like a Pallas retrograde, that's a person that's fighting for women, they're fighting for children, they're fighting for social issues. So because he has Aquarius, but his Pallas is direct, I'm still telling you that's what it's for. But it helps you see patterns as well. And that's his true north node. See, that means that the community is his family. And the Aquarian is his family. But the funny thing is he has that's why I said you got to really know how to read natal charts. Because if you notice, he also has Libra. That's his 12th house though. But he has Libra and Uranus just like she does. So that would imply that he's just like she is. I don't see it. I don't want the conventional relationship. I want to go my own way. But because Mars is there, I'm going to assume that what you're looking at on his chart is him kind of getting into it with her. Because he's trying to say, hey, I want a relationship. And she's saying, so do I. But, I just don't want to be bogged in. And I want to have my self-identity. And he's kind of seeing it differently. Like, well, why are we going to get serious if you're still going to have your self-identity? That's how I'm taking it. Even when you look in his first house, you can see it, all that Venus and all that love and Scorpio and, you could kind of see it. But that's how I'm reading it. Somebody else might not read it that way. And only that person would know for sure. But either way, we're moving on to the 5th house. Okay, so you already know about the vertex cross in the 8th house. We already read the 8th house. and that's Gemini in the 8th house. Gemini in the 8th house, believe it or not, is a lot like Gemini in the 9th house. Gemini is not going to want to go as deep as the 8th house wants to take you. So Gemini will be familiar with it and may mentally understand it, but the feeling that the Scorpio wants you to have in the 8th house, Gemini is not going to have that. But this is saying that this person would have some type of event, meeting, or a soulmate relationship with somebody with Gemini energy. And again, his moon sign is Gemini, or her moon sign is Gemini. So that was the 4th house. So I was going to the 5th house, which is Pisces. But again, the 5th house is about fun and travel and children and childlike ways and things of that nature. But yeah, a person with Pisces in the 5th house, they tend to meet somebody really quick. That's why I'm saying, that's what I know what the situation is. You can see it. See that Mars, even though his house looks a lot like hers with Libra and Uranus, his Mars is because he doesn't like the idea that she likes the free spirit. Like, he thinks a relationship is a relationship. What are you talking about? Well, if you really were with me, why would you dress like that? Whether he says it or not, he's thinking it. And this is causing problems, especially with a Lilith retrograde. And I know what I'm talking about because look at his 5th house. Leo is where Lilith is, retrograde. And his 5th house is Pisces. Because a person with Pisces in the 5th house, when they meet somebody, that's it. Like, they're already seeing love. And they take the person and put the person on a pedestal. Because Neptune causes you to see a fantasy world, an idealistic world. But our world is not idealistic. Our world is realistic. So an idealistic person says, oh, they should. Well, they should. Well, this person should. Well, they should, but they don't. So should is an idealistic word. Oh, you should care, but some people don't care. So that's why they call Neptune a deceiver. So in his 5th house, he's got that spiritual thing going on, but he's seeing love and he's ready to sacrifice for love and all that. But if he sees any infraction, because that's how Leos are too. Leos are very loyal, and Capricorn can be that way too. Like if they see any diversion for what they perceive a relationship to be, they view that as disloyalty. Whereas a woman, she sees that as, I'm just being myself. I'm just being an individual. It doesn't mean I'm not faithful to you. It doesn't mean I don't love you. But they ain't trying to hear that. They're looking at the way you dress. They're looking at the way you act. And they feel like you're not really where we need to be. So now we're going to look at Aquarius in the 5th house, Gemini in the 8th house. And this is sexual astrology. And give me a moment till I find it. With Aquarius in the 5th house, love, sex, and dating will be highly unconventional. Now let me do this again. All right, we're going with Pisces in the 5th house and Gemini in the 8th house. Give me one moment. Pisces in the 5th house, you'll approach love, sex, and dating in an emotional, imaginative, and enchanting way. You might have a difficult time seeing your lovers clearly, having a tendency to place anyone you're dating on a pedestal of protection, perfection, and full godlike status. If Pisces is in your 5th house, there's a yearning for deep soulmate connections, so your sexual relations are likely to be more transcendent than most. You're able to surrender your body and soul completely during sex. If you have Pisces in your 5th house, you might date or fall in love with someone who is psychic or extremely artistic. You might also fall in love with someone who is out of touch with reality in some way, someone you ultimately feel you need to save. With Pisces in the 5th house, love can have a tone of sacrifice attached to it. With Gemini in your 8th house, you're extremely curious about exploring the depths of intimacy and sex. You might enjoy learning as much as possible about erotic sexual pleasures such as a tantric or even more taboo sexual practices. If Gemini is in your 8th house, then a relationship will always begin in your mind, and in order to fall in love and ever achieve deep, intimate, bonding sex, you must first achieve an intellectual connection with your partner. Gemini in the 8th house can often thrive by talking to a lover after physical sex. Pillow talk is indeed the doorway to intimacy, much more than the physical act of sex itself. You will enjoy talking while you have sex, and you might ask your partner to talk dirty to you during sex if Gemini is in your 8th house. You might also find it natural to bond intimately with more than one sexual partner at once. All right, give me one moment. Give me a moment. Now, all right, so that was your 5th house, your 8th house. 6th house, again, Virgo rules the house, and it's all about addressing that Aries energy, because that's where he got hurt by Aries energy, the I am energy. And also, he doesn't feel nurtured because his Curious is also retrograde, so he doesn't feel nurtured either. He needs healing and he doesn't feel nurtured. So he has issues with Virgo energy as well as Aries energy. So that would again go back to your first chart and whatever we said. Because if you notice, your Virgo ended up in your 12th house. So a lot of stuff we said over there. And his Aries energy as well. And yours is also, your Aries is also retrograde. And yours is in a relationship sector. His is in a home and family sector. It kind of like, it just makes sense to me. It might not make sense to anybody else. But you keep seeing it. It's like she doesn't view relationship the way he does. And he sees the whole wifey home type thing. And she doesn't see it that way. It's funny. And then you see it again. As soon as you get to the relationship sector, there you go again. All retrogrades. Whenever you see Saturn retrograde, you just have to be careful because it doesn't have to imply abuse, but it could imply abuse. And definitely Juno retrograde is definitely infidelity. So it's the Taurus energy again in the 7th house. But this is how you know they definitely have a soul relationship, because her vertex crosses Taurus with Saturn retrograde, and then his is Saturn retrograde. So they might have been, like I said, abuse doesn't always have to be physical, but they're not treating each other right. But they warned you about that when we first started at her first house and the 7th house relationship. So we know for a fact Juno retrograde definitely means infidelity. And it's funny because her Juno is right next to who? Mars. And that's where we first started when I talked about that. I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call the title of this video "Twin Flames: The Hatfield and the McCoys." You guys ever hear about the Hatfield and McCoys? They started a fight, two different families, and they fought for like decades. All right. Now we're going back. We're only gonna do this one way, but we're going back to that gentleman because he'll tell you about the 7th house in Taurus and the Saturn retrograde. But he does a lot of talking. We've been out here a long time, so I'm getting to the point, and then we're moving on. So give me a moment. I have to find him again, and then we're going right in. All right, give me a second. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Saturn retrograde, 7th house. Give me a second. And Taurus. Again, this is astrologer, PANDITJI.com. Astrologer, PANDITJI.com. All right, we'll do this again. All right, the reason why I definitely can't say anything's positively is based on everything we just read in the horoscope. And we already learned how the whole Jupiter Scorpio thing is pushing, how the Venus retrograde, they're all pushing through conflict, through everything to get everything to work itself out. Now, let me just see. I'm still reading it. I'm just looking over it and seeing what he's saying. Because he gives you placements for positive, and they're not. It's not lining up just like before. Nope. So none of his placements are lining up for a benefic or a beneficial. So we're not going to look at that. So this person may have problems related to marriage, profession, health, and many other types of problems depending on the overall tone of the horoscope. So it can create problems before and after the marriage. Problems in the marriage of some native soon after such marriage. He keeps saying, he tends to say the same thing over and over again. These problems may intensify with the addition of other negative planets in the horoscope of these natives, and they may have to suffer from broken marriage on account of such problems. In an extreme case, when supported by other malevolent planets, I want to say, because he says malefic. Malefic retrograde Saturn in the 7th house of a horoscope, and the sign of Taurus can break more than one marriage of the native unless there's a strong marriage-saving planet in his horoscope. So this kind of agreeing with what we said earlier. And when we did it earlier, we wasn't using this website. So it's not like I'm going to the same website. It's different websites saying the same thing. But we already learned why it would be that way. So that it shouldn't be no surprise. All right. Again, now in the 9th house, family, which means also in-laws, because that's the 9th house. Could be foreign in-laws to this person, foreign language, foreign country, long distance, philosophy, culture, class. It's still education, because both houses, the Cancer deals with education, so does the 9th house, Sagittarius, ruled by Sagittarius, education. And like he said, health problems could be because it talks about the heart, but it could be in-laws. And in my opinion, that's why she's trying to get out of her situation and go to her 10th house, which is also family. But she's trying, and I always say that it looks like she's trying to get away from in-laws in the 9th house. So now, again, the leader in the 10th house, leader of careers, and that could be anything. It still has to do with Leo, 5th house, travel, fun, romance. Could be a dating service, travel, fun. It could be entertainment. It could be sports. It could be anything. But only in his 5th house, he has that. In the 10th house, he has that level of retrograde, which means he too will see things. If he doesn't like it, he may not talk about it, or he may try to talk about it, but he doesn't get the response he wanted, and so now he's kind of like leaving it inside. And whenever something bothers you and you leave it inside, it's going to start to foster anyway. It's not like you're going to walk away and leave it alone. It's still going to be there, and that's how you make mistakes. And then the 11th house is friends and associations and things like that. But again, friend association and groups. But again, he's got that Virgo service energy, but also the analytical energy, the critical energy, and things like that. And we already learned that Pluto and Virgo is going to cause these things to come out. Because Pluto can help transform, but it can also take like a Virgo and make Virgo already deeper. Like Virgo's already kind of deep anyway. They're very analytical. They're very focused. They could look at something and see mistakes almost instantly. So the Pluto's going to help with that too. But whatever it is, it also has to do with his friends, association, and groups. But again, Virgo is also home, family, health, service, animals, children, daily activities. So all that's going to have something to do with his friends, his associations, and his groups in the 11th house. And then his 12th house is easy to explain. His 12th house is addressing why the relationship, from his viewpoint, is not what he wants it to be. Because he doesn't want the Uranus. And even the Mars. See, that 5th house, Pisces, that's what he wants. He kind of wants like an ideal situation. Pisces, peace, dreamland. That's what he kind of wants. So that's why if you go to any of his sectors where there's Libra, you see Mars, you see Uranus, which is like, Uranus wants to be free spirit. They just want to be at the spur. Yeah, we could say we're a couple, but let's not be too serious about it. And he don't want that. And when you go to his 7th house, ruled by Libra, all you see is retrogrades. And the bull can be stubborn. So again, when I get natal charts like this, it's kind of difficult because you definitely can tell they're soulmates. They have a karmic relationship together. But I wouldn't go as far as to say twin souls. And I already explained the difference. Twin souls is the same soul, two different bodies. A soulmate can really be anybody. But you do have some soulmates that you have purposes with and karmic relationships with that you're going to meet. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you took two people that hated each other, put them on an island by themselves, and they had to learn to get along, and you left them there long enough, and they knew it wasn't no cameras or nothing like that, so they didn't have to keep on fronting and acting like they got to act in third dimensional. After a while, them two people are going to start talking, and because of needs, they're going to start needing each other, and they're going to start getting past a lot of stuff, and you may come back years later, and they may have a whole family of kids and stuff like that, and they may be acting like they never hated each other. They may look at you like you're stupid. I'm not saying they would, but they might even look at you like, why'd you even come back? Because we found peace out here. We got food out here. We got family out here. We've had nothing about peace. We've gotten away from that third dimensional crap. We don't want to go back. But when you first put them there, they're going to be fighting like anything. Like when an animal finds a new home. If you bring a cat that was at another house and you bring him into your house, you think that cat ain't going to be trying to bite you or scratch you because he don't know where he's going. He's out of his environment. Out of his, whatever they call it, realm. He's out of his element. But after a while, that same cat, once he gets calms down and sees it's not so bad, it'll be a totally different cat. So that's what his 12th house is about. He's got to come to grips with what he views as a relationship and things of that nature. So they definitely got, like I said, a karmic relationship. And that's why we talk so much about the 12th house. That's the karmic house, just like I said. And that's why they did her video. They did her natal chart the way I told you. See, this is a karmic relationship. Everything is done for a reason. This was made by someone who knew what they were doing. And the faster we realize that and stop with the third dimensional foolishness, we can start to work more and more with our universal purpose. You become more and more with the universe. That's why nobody from the universe is coming to save you yet. Because you keep telling the universe, oh, I love the Matrix. So how can you save somebody when they act like they don't want to be saved? All right, so like I said, first you look at Juno. I'm looking at her chart to the left. So this person would be might find himself in a serious relationship with a Capricorn, and maybe there might be something to do with Mars. So when you look on his chart, there's not really nothing big or significant with Capricorn energy. Sometimes it is a true north node. You say, okay, well, this person might find himself in a relationship with a Pisces or Neptune or Pisces energy, or maybe Leo energy, maybe. And his Pisces not there. And again, like I said, it could be a time thing as well. Because you know why I say that? Because a little bit more, his Pisces, his true north node would have been in Pisces. But that still doesn't necessarily mean, I'm just saying. So you look for Pisces and you look for Neptune. And even the Neptune is in the second house with Sagittarius. And see, her true north node Pisces in her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in her 6th house. But the Pisces in the 5th. And then when you go to the vertex, you would say the vertex is like a Taurus energy or a Saturn energy. In the 8th house ruled by Scorpio. So then you got the vertex in his 9th house with Gemini. See, this chart's a lot like the other chart I just did. They offset each other. But that's usually karmic relationships. That's like a soul karmic relationship because they really offset each other. But when you're looking at a twin flame or twin soul, they complement each other. It's almost like walking out of one door into another one. It's beautiful. It can still have a lot of drama, but it's written. It's just beautifully written. And again, like I said, but don't get me wrong, I'm just a guy out in New Jersey. I'm not saying I know everything. Because I have people, oh, you can't tell me because I had dreams and we have telepathy and blah, blah, blah. And they give all their reasons. And I'm not doubting their reasons. But all I'm saying is, but by the chart itself, the chart is saying more of a soul karmic relationship, not a twin soul relationship, not a twin flames relationship. This will conclude this analysis. Thank everybody. Again, we do anything that's intuitive. And here's the deal. Whether you like it or not, we are leaving the third dimension. You're not going to be able to stay. So everybody's getting mad and upset and all, acting like little babies. We're still leaving. So you can either get on board or the universe is going to have to move you out the way. That's what Pluto does. And you have to really study, because I notice I give a lot of real information and people just run from it. So they think by running from it, it's not going to happen. You need to study ancient societies. Either you're going to be in line with astrology, or when the universe starts to change, it's going to move you out of the way because you're not in line. You didn't want to know your mama. You didn't want to know your daddy. You didn't want to know astrology. That's why they're trying to tell you in the Bible, Jesus knew who his star was. So when Herod found out, he said, well, kill everybody. We don't want this Messiah to be born. Kill everybody. So they want to kill everybody. But because of the star, because of the wise men, because of the help from spirit, the angels, Jesus didn't get killed. But all those other babies did. These things are going to move you out the way. You can keep on trying to bully people and try to make people give you the type of reading you want and all that silly stuff you people are trying, the ones I'm talking about. But it's not going to work. You're either going to fall back in line with the universal purpose, or when the universe makes that shift out of this dimension, you will be taken out. Again, we offer all services. We offer sales. You can look in the description box for any more information. You can also contact me and get the entire service list. Now, for anybody that wants to get their natal chart done, all we need is the name. Not the name. We don't need your name to do your natal chart. But we need your gender, male or female. However you view yourself. And you're going to have to pick one because it only says male or female. So you have to pick one. Whatever you view yourself most as. We need your month, day, year of birth, city, state, country, if not the USA. And if you have your time of birth or an estimate, if not, then we can ask the archangels in your behalf. And that's how we get started. And with that information, if anybody wants to get started, it's right in the description box. God bless.